the zombie emperor in American comics. Greetings, fellow multiversal adventurers. It's an honor to have you back in this saga that has us all hooked. Official channel statement: this story is 100% epic fiction, so please don't attempt real magic. The results aren't guaranteed and insurance won't cover it. The rights to this masterpiece belong entirely to its brilliant original author. We are just a barge sharing it with you. Do you want to keep being part of this amazing community? Join our ninja army of subscribers on YouTube and give this content a like. And for true fans, our Patreon has exclusive ninjutsu waiting for you. Chapter 51 Transaction. Red Queen, could you put me through to Dr. Charles Ashford? Inside the hotel suite, Wang Yunxiao, unfazed by the dire situation outside, calmly put Lane through to Red Queen and presented his request. He was confident that Red Queen wouldn't refuse such a small favor. As for how Lane could reach Red Queen? After Alicia agreed to meet with Wang Yunxiao, Red Queen had granted her access, allowing her to reach her at any time. Yes, Mr. Wang, please wait a moment. As expected, Red Queen readily agreed, not even asking Wang Yunxiao's reason. Call connected. A moment later, Red Queen delivered Wang Yunxiao's desired result. Who are you? A moment later, a hoarse male voice echoed through the phone. Hello, Dr. Ashford. Let me introduce myself. My name is Wang Yunxiao, and I can help you rescue your daughter, Angela, Wang Yunxiao said calmly. What do I need in return? After a pause, Charles slowly asked, his voice even more hoarse. But overall, he remained calm, not asking any nonsense like, how do you know? Rescue your daughter, and I want you to work for me. Wang Yunxiao was pleased with Charles's reaction and stated his purpose directly. Okay, this time, Charles agreed without a moment's hesitation. To him, his daughter Angela was everything, and he was willing to pay any price for her safety. If not, he wouldn't have joined Umbrella to research the dangerous T-virus. Wait, aren't you afraid I'll lie to you? Aren't you afraid I'll regret it later? Charles suddenly asked before Wang Yunxiao could say anything. He asked because he was worried that his quick agreement would arouse Wang Yunxiao's suspicion, leading her to terminate their deal or do something to harm Angela. Although, he had no such intentions. This is my business, you don't have to worry about it at all, Wang Yunxiao said with a calm smile, exuding absolute confidence. Then how can I trust you? Charles, still a little worried, thought for a moment, and asked again. When it came to his daughter's safety, he couldn't help but be cautious. Can't you use the city's surveillance cameras to monitor some of our actions? I know it wouldn't be difficult for you, Wang Yunxiao said with a half-smile. Or, you could contact others for help. I don't mind. But if we rescue Angela in the end, our deal will be complete. How about that? Wang Yunxiao added, changing the subject, reassuring Charles completely. Okay, I promise, Charles said in a deep voice, finally relieved. But in the meantime, he would still seek other means to rescue his daughter Angela. Well, Dr. Ashford, I look forward to meeting you formally. You'll see Angela safe and sound. Wang Yunxiao smiled faintly, ending the call with Charles. Is this Dr. Ashford the person you're talking about? Who is he? Is he really that important? Lane asked curiously. He's, as you can see, a father who would give everything for his daughter. He's also a brilliant biologist. He played a crucial role in the successful development of the T-virus, Wang Yunxiao explained succinctly. You're developing the T-virus too, Lane exclaimed, her face shattered. The T-virus had already made her a bit paranoid, and anything or anyone related to it would set her on high alert. Don't worry, I don't want a zombie crisis to happen in my world. I just want to tell you that he's incredibly accomplished in biology and can help us maximize Umbrella's medical and biological research. Seeing this, Wang Yunxiao had to patiently explain. Promise me you'll never touch those viruses. Lane nodded slightly, accepting Wang Yunxiao's explanation, but still making her request. I promise, Wang Yunxiao nodded without hesitation. Thank you. Lane finally felt relieved and whispered a thank you. Silly girl, do we still have to be so polite? Wang Yunxiao scratched Lane's nose, dotingly. He was no man who didn't understand romance. Well, it's almost time. We should get moving. The two of them cuddled for a while longer before Wang Yunxiao pulled Lane out of the hotel. Da-da, da-da-da, the night wind blew, bringing a chill and sporadic gunfire. It seemed that those trapped in Raccoon City still hadn't given up, struggling to hold on. Where are we going? Going straight to rescue Angela, Lane turned to Wang Yunxiao and asked. Perhaps we could go see an old friend first, Wang Yunxiao asked, smiling as he glanced at a nearby church. Who is it? Alice? Hasn't she left Raccoon City yet? Lane immediately guessed Alice, a flicker of joy in her eyes, then a hint of curiosity. She'll never be able to escape Umbrella's involvement in her lifetime, Wang Yunxiao said meaningfully, heading towards the church. Lane hurriedly followed. Meanwhile, in the church, two police officers, Peyton Wells and Jill Valentine, who had recently taken refuge there, and reporter Terry Ross, witnessed the priest being torn to pieces by the liquor. Oh, damn, Peyton and Jill quickly raised their guns and fired, trying to kill the liquor on the spot. Unfortunately, the liquor was too fast, leaving them no time to aim, and their random shots were useless. Be careful, seeing that the liquor had locked onto the unarmed Terry, Peyton and Jill hurriedly warned, but it seemed too late. Clatter, at this critical moment, Alice rode her motorcycle coolly, rushed in through the window, and raised her hand to fire two incendiary bombs, burning the liquor to ashes on the spot. Hiss, unexpectedly, the liquor's disgusting roar did not completely disappear. Obviously, there was more than one liquor here. Da-da-da, the machine guns in Alice's hands kept spitting out tongues of fire, but the situation was similar to that of Peyton and Jill just now. The liquor jumped quickly, not giving her any chance to aim, making all her shots miss. Alice didn't panic at all, and when the time was right, she shot down the huge iron cross and hit the liquor right on the spot, so that it could no longer be arrogant. 8,000 words are guaranteed to be updated every day. I hope that new and old readers will continue to support this book and collect and recommend it. Chapter 52 Reunion and Surprise. Disgusting creature, die. Alice took 2 steps forward, ready to blast the liquor to dust at close range, as if only this would alleviate her hatred. Unexpectedly, the same sickening roar of the liquor echoed from all corners of the church, not just one. Well, now even the liquors were coming in groups. Alice quickly retreated, vigilantly scanning her surroundings, wary of liquor's sneak attacks while also protecting Jill and the other two behind her. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, muffled gunfire rang out, each bullet precisely piercing the liquor's heads, forcing them back repeatedly, unable to escape. Such precise marksmanship, such sharp reflexes, the liquor's speed was completely useless against such fire. Alice and the others looked at each other in bewilderment, both because the shooter wasn't one of them and because they were horrified by the power of such a weapon, which far exceeded the human body's limits. Leon, Wang, it's you. Following the trajectory of the bullet, the group finally saw the shooter, and Alice let out a cry of surprise. At the window she had just broken through, Wang Yunxiao and Lane stood side by side. It was Lane who had shot the person. Hi, Alice. But you don't look well, Lane smiled, though a hint of concern remained. We'll talk about that later. Let's deal with these monsters first. Alice once again pulled out her 2 special pistols and unleashed incendiary rounds, burning all the liquors in the church to ash. With Lane's help, it was easy. Hello, I'm Agent Peyton, and these are my colleague Jill and reporter Terry. Afterward, the group gathered inside the church for a short break. Peyton took the lead in introducing himself and his companions. In this zombie-infested city, humans are the vulnerable, and they've become especially united. Alice, hello. Alice smiled and introduced herself. Rain, he's Wang Yunxiao, Rain said coolly. The others didn't seem to resent this. The powerful often have privileges, especially in times of crisis like this. Where are Chad and Matt? And you, Alice, you're really in a bad state right now. What exactly happened after you escaped the hive that day? After a few more small talk and a bit of familiarity, Rain couldn't help but ask the question that had been lingering in her mind. Well, that day, we had just left the hive when we were captured by Umbrella. I was imprisoned in another of their labs, having just escaped. I'm not too sure about Chad and Matt's situation. Alice sighed and briefly recounted the events of that day. Damn Umbrella. One day, I'm going to send them all to hell. Rain gritted her teeth, her eyes gleaming with deep hatred. Right. They all deserve to go to hell. Alice's hatred for Umbrella was no less than Rain's, perhaps even more. Were you injected with a T-virus? Lane suddenly asked, looking Alice straight in the eye. As a fellow T-virus recipient, she naturally sensed something about Alice's condition. Alice, on the other hand, being a zombie, didn't feel anything. Yes. But I don't know when they injected me with a T-virus. Maybe it was this time, or maybe it was a long time ago. A flicker of confusion and panic flashed in Alice's eyes. She felt like she had forgotten a lot. Don't worry, Alice, like you, is a T-virus recipient. She's just adapting. Wang Yunxiao spoke at the right moment, explaining the situation and reassuring the two women. Yes, the two women glanced at each other and nodded, convinced by Wang Yunxiao's words. Wait, what exactly are you talking about? Can you tell us in detail? Terry, who had been paying attention to the three people's conversation, seemed to have grasped some big news with her journalistic acumen. How could she resist? In short, this disaster was caused by Umbrella, and Lane and I were both victims of the T-virus. Lane and Alice exchanged a glance, and Alice finally shared some of the information she had. However, she seemed to have some misunderstanding, believing Lane, like her, had the T-virus in her system as a result of Umbrella's human experiments. Naturally, neither Wang Yunxiao nor Lane would offer any explanation. Oh, my God, the truth is so unbelievable, Terry couldn't help but exclaim. Just as everyone was stunned by Alice's revelation, Peyton suddenly cried out in pain. Perhaps due to his excitement, the wound on his calf, where a zombie bite had occurred, had been disturbed. You've been bitten by a zombie. Alice's expression suddenly changed, and she immediately drew her gun on him. Lane and Jill drew their guns just as quickly, but Lane aimed at Peyton and Jill, while Jill aimed at Lane and Alice. What are you doing? Terry was completely stunned. They'd just been chatting. How could they suddenly draw their guns? You should know that anyone who's been bitten by a zombie will eventually become one, Alice said quietly, looking at Jill. Jill, put the gun down. She's right, Peyton said, trying to persuade Jill. Death, for him now, was a relief, better than becoming a half-demon, half-ghost zombie. Impossible. I won't give up on you until you're truly a zombie. Jill remained unmoved, her expression remarkably firm. I say, can you all put your guns down? Being bitten by a zombie isn't something that can't be fixed, Wang Yunxiao suddenly interjected. I have the serum that can save him. As long as he hasn't been bitten for too long, he should still be able to be saved. Seeing everyone's eyes fixed on him, Wang Yunxiao continued. Are you serious? Jill looked at Wang Yunxiao in surprise, not even bothering to confront Alice and Lane anymore, and lowered his gun. He looked even more excited than Peyton, the person involved. Of course, Wang Yunxiao smiled slightly, and the green serum suddenly appeared in his hand. Thank you. Thank you. Seeing this, Peyton could no longer remain calm and excitedly thanked Wang Yunxiao again and again. If it is possible to not die, who would want to die? We guarantee 8,000 words to be updated every day. We hope that new and old readers will continue to support this book and collect and recommend it. Chapter 53 Tyrant. Thank you. Thank you. After receiving the serum, Peyton thanked Wang Yunxiao profusely. Beside him, Jill was equally grateful. No need to be so polite. If I can help, I will. However, you may not know this yet, but Raccoon City will be hit by a nuclear bomb before sunrise. If you don't have a way to leave, why not come with us? Wang Yunxiao smiled calmly, extending another invitation while also delivering a piece of grim news. Do you have a way to leave Raccoon City? Terry asked in surprise, having long since lost interest in staying in this haunted place. The others remained calm, nodding in agreement. Of course. But first, we need to pick someone up, Wang Yunxiao said, spreading his hands. The others had no objection, not even asking who Wang Yunxiao was going to rescue. In the current situation, saving every single person was a good thing, no matter who it was. Let's go, Wang Yunxiao shrugged, leading the group out of the church and heading straight for Angela's school. Along the way, they were unsurprisingly confronted by hordes of zombies, so dense they stretched as far as the eye could see. Raccoon City wasn't much of a place these days, except for the zombies. However, even low-level zombies like these, no matter how numerous, posed no threat to the group, and Wang Yunxiao didn't even need to intervene. Unbeknownst to the group, their impressive performance had been witnessed by Kane, who was conducting comprehensive surveillance of Raccoon City. He immediately identified Lane and Alice as perfect incarnations of the T-virus. To further collect data on the two women, he even dispatched 2 Tyrants. That's right, 2. Perhaps because of Wang Yunxiao's unexpected presence, the 2 individuals previously captured by Umbrella, Chad and Matt, had been transformed into Tyrants. Be careful, there's a big one coming. Just as they were crossing an overpass, Wang Yunxiao suddenly stopped and shouted a warning. Da. As if to confirm Wang Yunxiao's words, a barrage of fire poured down on them. Quick! Jump down! Find cover, Lane reacted quickly, grabbing a section of the bridge and blocking the way, shouting at them. In an instant, the reinforced concrete bridge was blasted into a sturdy block. Fortunately, everyone reacted quickly, leaping off the overpass and taking shelter behind sturdy cover. As for Jill and the other two, ordinary people, they also jumped from the several-meter-high overpass with Wang Yunxiao's protection and escaped unscathed. "What the hell is that thing?" Lane shouted to Wang Yunxiao amid the intense gunfire. "Tyrant. Umbrella's most powerful biological weapon, far beyond the reach of those lickers," Wang Yunxiao said in a deep voice, already having some idea of the true identities of the two tyrants. "It's Umbrella again. I'll take them out." Anger welled up in Lane's eyes, and she was about to get up and finish off the two tyrants. "Don't be impatient," Wang Yunxiao grabbed Lane, stopping her. "Why?" Lane looked at Wang Yunxiao, puzzled. "If I'm not mistaken, they should be Chad and Matt." Wang Yunxiao spoke his guess, his mind racing as he thought of a solution. What? Not only Lane, but even Alice was stunned, pain flashing in her eyes. They had never imagined that their comrades, who had shared life and death together just a few days ago, would now become enemies, and even transformed into such monsters. "You go to the school first and rescue Angela. I'll go take care of those two guys." Wang Yunxiao gave a few instructions and rushed out like lightning. Bang, bang. Moments later, the clatter of gunfire faded, followed by two muffled thuds. Two tyrants, nearly 3 meters tall and as powerful as giant bears, were sent flying. "Let's go," Lane shouted softly, rising first and heading straight for the school. Alice and the others exchanged glances and hurriedly followed. Such immense strength. It seems Umbrella's bioweapons do have their merits after all. Wang Yunxiao raised his eyebrows slightly. After the previous blow, he had already roughly assessed the tyrant's basic capabilities. In terms of pure strength and defense, it was a monster. Even Lane was currently inferior. However, its weaknesses were also obvious: slow speed, lack of agility, and most importantly, lack of consciousness. Roar! The two tyrants clumsily rose to their feet, not even bothering to retrieve the heavy machine guns that had been flung to who knows where. Instead, they charged directly at Wang Yunxiao, like two raging bears, their every step causing the ground to tremble. Wang Yunxiao took a single step and dodged behind the two tyrants. Two more muffled thuds sent the two bulky beasts careening back. Chad? Matt? By this point, Wang Yunxiao had lost all desire to playfully tease them and called out their names. Yes, it was a joke. These two tyrants might be formidable against most humans in this world, but in front of Wang Yunxiao, they were mere toys. Roar! The two tyrants showed no reaction to Wang Yunxiao's call. Their eyes were glazed, and they roared furiously as they scrambled to their feet. "Alright, I guess I'll just have to calm you down for a while." Suddenly, Wang Yunxiao came up with a somewhat unintended solution: store the tyrants in his personal space and then, once he had found a permanent solution, address their problems. Within his personal space, space and time remained static, so there was no need to worry about the tyrants causing any trouble. How is this possible? Who is he? On the other side, Kane, who was monitoring the situation of the tyrant, exclaimed in disbelief. He was really stunned by Wang Yunxiao's performance. Then, the monitoring screen through the tyrant suddenly disappeared, and the monitor turned into a snowflake. "Damn it! Can anyone tell me what is going on?" Kane roared angrily. Unfortunately, no one could answer his doubts, and no one dared to offend him at this time. "No, I must go and see what happened." Kane rushed out of the tent like crazy. He must find out what happened. Otherwise, Alice's data was not collected, and the two tyrants that the company had worked so hard to build disappeared inexplicably. How can he explain to the company? 8,000 words are guaranteed to be updated every day. I hope that new and old readers will continue to support this book and collect and recommend it. Chapter 54: The Last Hope. You guys moved quickly, too. Did everything go smoothly? Are there any injuries? When Wang Yunxiao arrived at the school gate, Lane and her group were just walking out. Angela had been successfully rescued. Not only were they all unharmed, but even the two Special Forces officer Charles had called in to rescue his daughter, Carlos Oliveira and Nikolai Zinovov, and their new partner, LJ, were there. This wasn't surprising. In the original storyline, the school was only infested with zombies and zombie dogs, and with Lane and Alice present, they posed no threat at all. "It's okay. Chad and Matt and the others, Lane shook her head slightly, hesitantly looking at Wang Yunxiao. Alice, standing nearby, glanced nervously at Wang Yunxiao, as if afraid to hear some bad news. They're fine, don't worry, Wang Yunxiao smiled calmly, but didn't bother to elaborate. That's good, Lane and Alice breathed a sigh of relief. They didn't ask any further questions. Just knowing Chad and Matt were okay was enough. Hi, is this Angela? Uncle's going to take you to your dad, okay? Wang Yunxiao crouched down, tapped Angela's nose, and asked with a smile. Ding-ling-ling. Just then, the watch communicator on Lane's wrist began to chime. It was undoubtedly Charles calling. Hello, can I speak to Angela? Charles' voice rang out immediately, perhaps due to his excitement. Dad, Angela, who had been a little shy just now, exclaimed in delight. Lane's watch communicator only had a hands-free function, so Wang Yunxiao didn't need to greet them at all. Hi, baby, are you okay? Charles' voice immediately softened. Dad, I'm fine. When can I see you? Angela said crisply, expressing her eagerness to see Charles soon. Soon, they'll bring you to see me. Okay, baby, let Daddy talk to them first, Charles said gently. Okay, Angela nodded obediently and stepped aside. Mr. Wang, there's a helicopter parked right by City Hall. It'll take off in about 40 minutes. It'll be the last flight out of Raccoon City. You must seize the opportunity, Charles said quickly, holding nothing back. After all, his daughter Angela's safety was at stake. Okay, I got it, Wang Yunxiao said calmly, ending the call. Guys, you all heard it. We must rush to City Hall and seize that helicopter. Wang Yunxiao looked up, noticing everyone's eyes fixed on him, and couldn't help but smile. I'm afraid it's heavily guarded there, with a large number of Umbrella agents. Carlos, himself one of them, spoke. We're not bad either, are we? Jill smiled confidently. Even knowing the danger was imminent, she showed no fear. Cool, LJ exclaimed exaggeratedly, whistling at the end. As they spoke, the group quickly rushed towards City Hall. Everyone appeared to be in good spirits, even Terry, who had little fighting ability, didn't appear to be in a state of distress. However, this relaxed state quickly broke down as they approached the City Hall. Although they had been mentally prepared, they were still completely stunned by the scene before them. Looking around, they saw layers upon layers of well-equipped special agents. A rough estimate suggested the number of personnel was enough to start a small war. Most importantly, 3 armed helicopters were hovering overhead, closely monitoring everything within the City Hall. For a moment, everyone was silent, looking at each other, unsure what to say, before their eyes turned once more to Wang Yunxiao. However, this situation was undoubtedly due to him. If it hadn't been for his destruction of the 2 tyrants, Kane wouldn't have made such a grand display. Okay, guys, it looks like we have a tough battle ahead. Wang Yunxiao spread his hands, and one weapon after another was taken out from his personal space and placed in front of everyone. Fortunately, he had previously emptied a police armory in Raccoon City. Although everyone was shocked that Wang Yunxiao could produce so many weapons out of thin air, they did not have time to think too much at the moment. I'll go get rid of those 3 helicopters. Lane picked up a rocket launcher, nodded to Wang Yunxiao, and crouched down to leave. I'll go help her. Alice thought about it, but still felt uneasy, so she decided to go with Lane. No need. She can do it alone. Wang Yunxiao grabbed Alice and shook his head seriously. Okay, then how should we act? Alice looked at Wang Yunxiao deeply and asked in a deep voice. Carlos, Nicola, and I will attack from the front and draw their attention. Alice, Jill, Peyton, and LJ, the 4 of you will attack from the side and rear and seize the helicopter. Wang Yunxiao surveyed the group and calmly made his arrangements. While he wasn't skilled at commanding a battle, having recently experienced the baptism of World War II, he was more than capable of handling such a small situation. Okay, Alice and the other 3 glanced at each other and, without hesitation, followed Wang Yunxiao's instructions. They grabbed their weapons from the ground and crouched down to leave. What can I do? Terry asked weakly. Though nervous, she pressed the question, not wanting to be a burden to the others. You're responsible for protecting Angela. Just stay close to us. Remember, you must protect Angela. She's very important to me. Wang Yunxiao looked Terry in the eye and spoke seriously. Okay, I understand. Terry, feeling even more nervous at the sight, instinctively hugged Angela tightly. Are you ready? Wang Yunxiao turned to look at Carlos and Nicola, who were sorting their equipment. Their mission was the most difficult and dangerous, and they would likely be the main targets of attack helicopters. However, among everyone present, except for Ryan, they were the only ones with experience in dealing with such large-scale operations. No problem, Carlos and Nicola said in unison, their eyes calm, their expressions cool, and their iron-blooded aura lingering. Okay, action. Wang Yunxiao nodded slightly with satisfaction, gave the order in a deep voice, and was the first to stand up and rush to the city hall. 8,000 words are guaranteed to be updated every day. I hope that new and old readers will continue to support this book and collect and recommend it. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55 The Final Struggle. Bang! Wang Yunxiao sounded the attack horn. Instantly, a well-hidden sniper from the Umbrella Special Forces fell to the ground. This single shot completely shattered the already tense nerves of the Special Forces. The next moment, a barrage of gunfire erupted, mostly from the Special Forces, interspersed with return fire from Wang Yunxiao and the other two. Wang Yunxiao's movements were ghostly, tumbling, leaping, and diving sideways, dodging the rain of bullets aimed at him with imperceptible precision. And from start to finish, the flames from his muzzle never ceased, each bullet capable of taking the life of a Special Forces member. To be frank, he alone had already tied up most of the Special Forces' energy, significantly reducing the pressure on Carlos and Nicola behind them. Oh my god. Is he still human? How is this possible? Nicola exclaimed in surprise as he fired. His personality shouldn't have lost its composure like that. Wang Yunxiao's actions were simply too brazen. Well, man, you're right. Perhaps, at this moment, we're in the presence of God. Carlos was also stunned, unable to help but grumble. But the two of them had no idea that even so, Wang Yunxiao was still holding back. Currently, he was only displaying the strength he possessed before ascending to the third generation of zombies, but that was more than enough for this small situation. Wang Yunxiao's actions were naturally calculated. In this sick world, Umbrella, and even the US government, were prone to using nuclear weapons as if they were free. He didn't want to become the target of a nuclear attack by overdoing it. Wang Yunxiao's display of strength was just right. While it would undoubtedly draw Umbrella's attention, it shouldn't deter them from resorting to nuclear strikes. And this was only the beginning of the battle, and Wang Yunxiao and his two companions had already firmly established the initiative despite facing an enemy force dozens to 1 times their own. And it looked like their advantage would only grow as time went on. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Suddenly, a sharp whistling sound echoed as 3 missiles, shattering the air barrier and leaving trails of white flame, barreled towards Wang Yunxiao from 3 directions. Look out! Get out of the way! Carlos and Nicola shouted in unison, warning Wang Yunxiao, who was at the forefront, but it was too late. Boom, boom, boom. Before their shouts had even finished, 3 small mushroom clouds had already risen from Wang Yunxiao's position. Damn it! How could this be? Just as Carlos and Nicola's hearts sank to the bottom, a figure suddenly burst out from the thick smoke and dust. Who else could it be but Wang Yunxiao? The truth was, with Wang Yunxiao's 5 senses, he had sensed the moment the 3 helicopters pointed their guns at him and had already prepared to evade. Furthermore, with Wang Yunxiao's current 3rd-generation zombie form, even if he were hit head-on by the missiles, he would at most suffer minor injuries, which he would recover quickly. It would definitely not kill him. But, as always, he didn't want to reveal too much of his strength unless absolutely necessary. The attack helicopters, equipped with infrared sensors, instantly detected that Wang Yunxiao was still alive. Even before he emerged from the smoke and dust, heavy machine gun fire followed. At that moment, Wang Yunxiao's legs seemed to be equipped with electric motors, guiding the 3 barrages of bullets towards him. He ran at full speed through the ruined streets, leaving them all behind. At that moment, everyone in the room was stunned by Wang Yunxiao's godlike performance. They even forgot to attack and became mere spectators. Cool. This is amazing. I admire him so much, Carlos excitedly shouted at Nicola, his face contorted with excitement, and he had become a complete fan of Wang Yunxiao. Hey, man, calm down, you're so fucking calm. Nicola shouted at the top of his lungs, his eyes never leaving Wang Yunxiao. Whoosh! At that moment, a rocket streaked through the sky, adding a unique touch of excitement to the spectacle. Boom! Amidst a dazzling display of fireworks, the attack helicopter directly behind Wang Yunxiao plummeted to the ground. Whoosh! Another rocket streaked through the air, trailing a long trail of flame as it slammed into yet another attack helicopter. With 2 of his 3 targets gone, Wang Yunxiao's pressure was relieved. He suddenly leaped high, making all the pursuing bullets miss. Turning and aiming, his gun blazing with flames, each bullet precisely pierced the fuel tank of the final attack helicopter, and each one hit the exact same spot. Boom! Another burst of dazzling fireworks erupted, and Wang Yunxiao once again staged a spectacular one-on-one duel against the attack helicopter. This series of events unfolded so swiftly that in mere seconds, Umbrella's greatest firepower was rendered useless. The special forces finally recovered their senses and refocused their guns on Wang Yunxiao and the other 2, unleashing another barrage of bullets. But was it too late? Directly ahead, the formidable Wang Yunxiao led the charge. Behind him, the battle-experienced Carlos and Nicola could unleash their firepower without restraint. Not far away, on the rooftop, Lane firmly held the commanding heights. Da-da-da! Suddenly, the sounds of intense gunfire rang out from the left and rear of City Hall. It seemed Alice and the others weren't idle either. Umbrella's defeat was now certain. They had lost even the slightest chance of resistance, quickly overwhelmed by the onslaught of Wang Yunxiao and his men. However, one individual, unwilling to accept defeat, still made a final stand. This person was, of course, our Umbrella executive, Kane. In front of the helicopter, Charles sat alone in a wheelchair, a high-tech bomb strapped to his chest, his face gloomy as Wang Yunxiao and his men approached. Dad, Angela, with her sharp eyes, spotted Charles from a distance and cheered as she ran over, only to be grabbed by the quick-witted Lane. Don't come over. Quick, leave here, the farther away from me the better. Charles' face was pale, and he shouted anxiously, but he didn't dare to make any big movements, for fear of detonating the bomb on his chest. Wang Yunxiao paused for a moment, and the next moment he continued forward without hesitation, and soon he was in front of Charles. Leave here? What a joke. Not to mention that this helicopter is their only hope of leaving Raccoon City. Charles is also the reason for his stay in Raccoon City. Out of trust in Wang Yunxiao, everyone followed without hesitation. Along the way, Wang Yunxiao's performance had already conquered each of them. 8,000 words are guaranteed to be updated every day. I hope that new and old readers will continue to support this book and collect and recommend it. Chapter 56, Escape from Raccoon City. Don't move. And don't even try to dismantle it, or I can't guarantee I won't explode it. Just as Wang Yunxiao was about to step forward to check on Charles, Kane's threatening words came over the helicopter's loudspeaker. Is this your last stand? Wang Yunxiao stopped, first giving Charles a reassuring look, then glancing at the helicopter's open hatch with a sneer. Stop talking nonsense. Perhaps you don't know, but this bomb is Umbrella's latest creation, powerful enough to flatten a kilometer in radius, Kane threatened furiously. Oh? Are you so sure this bomb can kill us? Wang Yunxiao said with a half-smile. I know you're capable, but I don't believe you can save everyone. At least, you definitely can't save Dr. Ashford. Since you're willing to save his daughter, you must value him very much. Although Kane spoke with certainty, his heart was still trembling. He was completely unsure how much Wang Yunxiao truly valued Charles. Also, this helicopter is your only hope of leaving Raccoon City. If you don't want to die in a nuclear bomb, you have no other choice. Then, Kane, thinking again, gnashed his teeth and threatened further. Will you be buried with us too? Wang Yunxiao remained unmoved by Kane's threats, instead mocking him. Believe me, even if the mission fails, I will definitely not lack the courage to perish alongside you, Kane said bitterly. Indeed, not only did he fail to collect Alice's data, but he also lost 2 Tyrants. This was more than just a mission failure. Even if he could return to Umbrella, it would be a disaster. Okay, state your terms, Wang Yunxiao shrugged, seemingly accepting a compromise. Inject yourselves with a high-purity sedative, and I will take you out of here, Kane finally stated his goal. If he could truly bring Alice, along with Wang Yunxiao and Lane, the suspected perfect T-virus fusion, back to Umbrella, he would not only avoid punishment but also be rewarded. Tisk, tisk, you're truly greedy, Wang Yunxiao scoffed. as if mocking Kane's insatiable greed. I told you, you have no choice. You don't have much time left. In less than 10 minutes, the nuclear bomb will be dropped on Raccoon City, Kane declared angrily, his tone tinged with anxiety. Thank you for the reminder. However, I refuse. Wang Yunxiao smiled calmly, and with a wave of his hand, Charles vanished from the scene, stored in his personal space. It must be said that a personal space is surprisingly useful in times like these. Almost immediately, Lane sprinted into the helicopter, moving at the speed of a bullet. The next moment, with two muffled thuds, Kane and the helicopter pilot were thrown out. Impossible. Who are you? How could you do such a thing? Kane's face was ashen, staring at Wang Yunxiao in disbelief. Alice and the others also witnessed this scene, but it wasn't their first time seeing it. Furthermore, Wang Yunxiao's various miraculous feats had long since become familiar to them. Guess what? Mr. Kane, thank you for the helicopter. Wang Yunxiao waved mockingly at Kane, then invited everyone to board. No, Kane screamed in despair, and the propellers swirled. The helicopter slowly rose into the sky, rapidly flying towards the Arklay Mountains. Boom! A few minutes later, a deafening roar erupted from the center of Raccoon City, and a massive mushroom cloud enveloped the entire city. Although the helicopter had already flown far, it was still tossed about by the sweeping air currents. Everyone, it seems our journey has come to an end, Wang Yunxiao shrugged regretfully from inside the helicopter. They had left too late and hadn't completely escaped the nuclear bomb's impact range. Facing the crowd's gazes, some horrified, some sighing, some calm, Wang Yunxiao waved his hand and stored them all in his personal space. At the same moment, Lane left the pilot's seat and joined him. The two exchanged a smile before jumping out of the slowly opening hatch. Below them lay the densely forested Arklay Mountains, stretching as far as the eye could see. Even if the helicopter hadn't been affected by the nuclear bomb, Wang Yunxiao had no intention of flying far in this helicopter. Umbrella would surely come searching immediately. And Arklay Mountains was their ideal escape point. The high mountains and dense forests made it difficult even for satellites to detect, minimizing the chance of them escaping Umbrella's pursuit. Deep within a cave in the Arklay Mountains, Wang Yunxiao released Alice and the others from his personal space, excluding Charles and his daughter Angela. However, judging by their appearance, none of them were well. Each one hunched over, retching profusely. Alice was the only one in relatively good condition, though she was still unsteady and shaky. Hey, guys, are you feeling better? Wang Yunxiao asked awkwardly after meeting the resentful gazes of several people. Oh, God, this feeling is terrible. I feel like my brain is full of water, shaking non-stop, LJ shouted exaggeratedly. Although the others did not speak, they all looked as if they agreed. Oh, sorry, it's like this the first time. Maybe it will be much better after a few more attempts. Wang Yunxiao apologized insincerely. Even he himself was not very sure about this. After all, he had not tried it himself. No. I don't want to do it again even if you kill us, several people shouted in unison, with a tacit understanding. What's the situation now? And where are Dr. Ashford and Angela? Alice recovered first and asked directly about something that everyone was concerned about. We're in the Arklay Mountains right now, so I haven't released Dr. Ashford and Angela yet. We'll talk about it after we leave here. As for Raccoon City, as you saw before, it no longer exists. Wang Yunxiao stared in the direction of Raccoon City, where he could still vaguely see billowing black smoke. Damn Umbrella. I'll definitely expose the truth of this matter. Terry clenched the miniature camera in her arms, which contained all the evidence she had recorded. Yes, expose them, but exposing them is too easy for them. They all deserve to go to hell. The others also denounced Umbrella. Yesterday, I was notified that American Comics Zombies will be trial promoted on Thursday. How exciting. I guarantee 8,000 words of updates every day. I hope new and old readers will continue to support this book and collect and recommend it. Chapter 57 Charles Joins, Part 1. Okay, guys, I think dealing with Umbrella isn't urgent right now. Let's talk about our own business now, Wang Yunxiao said, interrupting the others' condemnation of Umbrella. Our business? Everyone's eyes immediately focused on Wang Yunxiao, some of them still not fully aware of what was happening. You mean? Alice looked thoughtful, as if she had guessed something. Yeah, then, we'll need to separate temporarily, Wang Yunxiao sighed softly, stating his decision. Why? Terry asked, puzzled. Of the group, She had the worst self-preservation skills, and their brief time together had made her consider Wang Yunxiao her support. Naturally, she didn't want to be separated from him so soon. Although the others didn't say anything, their eyes were filled with curiosity. Only Alice was more certain of her thoughts, with an expression that said, as expected, "Perhaps you haven't realized this yet, but shortly after we crashed, Umbrella sent forces to investigate. It's clear they've set their sights on us and won't let us go." Wang Yunxiao began by slowly laying out a harsh reality. Just think about it, being targeted by a behemoth like Umbrella is definitely not a pleasant experience. Not only the others, but even Wang Yunxiao had to be cautious. Alice is a confirmed T-virus perfect fusion, and they believe Lane and I are also likely to have perfected the T-virus. Therefore, the three of us will definitely be their top targets, even at all costs, Wang Yunxiao declared gravely. As for you, you shouldn't have attracted much of their attention yet. As long as you stay out of our side and exercise caution, you shouldn't be in too much danger. Seeing no one speaking, Wang Yunxiao shifted the subject, explaining the reason for his decision. Upon hearing this, everyone nodded in agreement, having to admit that Wang Yunxiao's analysis made perfect sense. If they continued to stay with Wang Yunxiao and the other two, not only would they be in great danger themselves, they would also likely become a burden to them. This was the situation. Although everyone was reluctant to part with each other after their previous shared life and death, they still had to face reality and agreed with Wang Yunxiao's decision to temporarily separate. In the slightly subdued atmosphere, after a brief discussion, the final conclusion was that Wang Yunxiao and Rain would naturally be together. Alice declined Wang Yunxiao's invitation, intending to travel alone to continue searching for her lost memories. The remaining few would continue to gather together, supporting each other to jointly deal with the possible pursuit of Umbrella and to find a way to expose the truth about Raccoon City to the public. Guys, trust me, we'll definitely meet again. If you encounter any problems you can't solve, you can contact Lane. After leaving enough food, weapons, and tools for several people to escape Arklay Mountain, along with Lane's emergency contact information, Wang Yunxiao and Lane departed. Parting was sad, a feeling he never liked. The mountain road was difficult, but for Wang Yunxiao and Lane, it was no problem at all. In just 2 days, they had already left Arklay Mountain. The town of Aspen lay at the foot of the Arklay Mountain, far enough away from Raccoon City. At this point, the T-virus hadn't spread here, and the town still seemed peaceful and tranquil. Wang Yunxiao decided to rest here for a few days and sort out Charles's situation. Aspen was remote, with few nearby attractions, and few tourists. Wang Yunxiao generously booked the entire small hotel in the town. This delighted the innkeeper, who treated them like gods. After dismissing the overly enthusiastic innkeeper and telling him he preferred quiet and not to disturb them, Wang Yunxiao finally let Charles and his daughter out. Needless to say, the paralyzed Charles was in far worse physical condition than Terry. His face was a pale, bloodless color, and he retched and dazed for nearly an hour before his condition improved slightly. Young Angela, on the other hand, fared much better, thanks to her integration with the T-virus, albeit an imperfect one. "How are you feeling, Charles, and sweet little Angela?" Wang Yunxiao looked apologetically at the two. "Well, this feels awful. Honey, are you okay?" Charles smiled wryly, but he didn't forget to check on his daughter. "I'm fine, just a little dizzy," Angela said crisply, understandingly. "Then how about Auntie Lane take you to bed?" Wang Yunxiao asked gently. "Go, baby, get some sleep. You'll feel better when you wake up," Charles said softly, clearly understanding Wang Yunxiao's intention. "Okay," Angela nodded obediently, allowing Lane to pick her up and walk out of the room. "Charles, you're smart. It's better if Angela doesn't see what we're going to discuss next," Wang Yunxiao said gently with a slight smile. "Don't worry, since I've agreed to your terms, I won't go back on my word." After a brief silence, Charles looked at Wang Yunxiao with a complicated expression and spoke in a quiet voice. "Although I'm willing to trust you, Doctor, for both of us to be at peace, I still feel that necessary measures are necessary, don't you think?" Wang Yunxiao said bluntly. He always believed that dealing with intelligent people didn't require such roundabout ways. "What do you want to do?" "Please, Angela is innocent. She's just a child," Charles, clearly misunderstanding something, immediately pleaded urgently. "Well, don't worry, I won't threaten you with Angela." Wang Yunxiao was speechless for a moment, but he still made a serious promise to reassure Charles. So what are you going to do? Besides Angela, I really can't think of any other options. Charles smiled bitterly. How could he be reassured? It wasn't that he underestimated Wang Yunxiao's methods, but he believed that the only real threat in the world was his precious daughter Angela. Relax, although it may feel a little uncomfortable at first, trust me, you'll soon like it. Wang Yunxiao smiled meaningfully, revealing his zombie form. As Charles stared in shock, he bit into the carotid artery in his neck. After draining Charles's blood, Wang Yunxiao forced out another drop of zombie blood, which merged into his forehead in a soft white light. We guarantee 8,000 words daily. We hope new and old readers will continue to support this book by collecting and recommending it. Chapter 58 Charles Joins, Part 2. Charles' transformation into a zombie was swift, completed in just an hour, unlike Lane's, which had taken several hours. Wang Yunxiao concluded that this was likely due to his lack of T-virus injections and his poor foundation. Wang Yunxiao hadn't injected Charles with a T-virus before transforming him into a zombie because the current T-virus was too unstable, and there was no telling if it would damage his brain. Although Lane and Alice hadn't shown any adverse reactions and had actually experienced improved mental clarity, Wang Yunxiao wouldn't risk even a 1 in 10,000 chance. If such a low probability event actually occurred, Wang Yunxiao would be left with nothing to cry about. Wasn't it Charles's biological expertise and intelligence that he valued so much? I see. Charles slowly opened his gray-brown pupils, examining his current state with a touch of curiosity, his expression growing increasingly excited. Charles, now a fourth-generation zombie, possessed physical fitness over 10 times that of an average person, and his 5 senses were heightened. Even more surprising was that he was back on his feet, the hemiplegia that had plagued him for over a decade completely gone. From today on, we're the closest of family. From now on, I'll be leaving many things to you, Wang Yunxiao said with a smile, unfazed by Charles's reaction. Boss, are you planning on letting me continue researching the T-virus? Even after we return to the Marvel Universe together, because of their bloodline and memories, Charles naturally put himself in the shoes of the character and began to think from the perspective of helping Wang Yunxiao's primary concern. Forget the Marvel Universe, I don't want to overrun it with zombies. However, I do plan to establish our own forces upon our return, creating a company focused on biology and electronics. I believe Umbrella will provide us with significant technical support. Wang Yunxiao smiled calmly and laid out his plan. If that's the case, we must obtain the Red Queen. She alone possesses the vast majority of Umbrella's research results. Charles offered a straightforward and pertinent suggestion. Don't worry, I've got this planned, but it won't happen soon. We'll have to wait a while, Wang Yunxiao smiled confidently. Without a doubt, Red Queen was one of his most important goals in Resident Evil. He had to obtain her at all costs. Not to mention that Red Queen's database contained the vast majority of Umbrella's scientific research data and achievements. Even in terms of artificial intelligence, she was absolutely exceptional. Even Jarvis, developed by Tony Stark in the early days of Iron Man, was inferior to her. However, while we remain in this world, you can still continue to delve into the T-virus. If I'm not mistaken, Angela's integration of the T-virus isn't perfect yet, is it? And I have 2 other giants here who also need them, Wang Yunxiao added, changing the subject, even pulling out the 2 tyrants from his personal spaceship. This is Tyrant? I didn't expect I'd be able to achieve this level. Charles looked at the 2 giants before him with a complicated expression, filled with admiration. Although he wasn't involved in any bioweapon-related testing, as one of the primary developers of the T-virus, he had heard of advanced bioweapons like Tyrant and Nemesis. How is it going? Are you confident you can solve their problems? Seeing Tyrant showing signs of awakening, Wang Yunxiao returned them to his personal space and asked Charles with hope. We can give it a try. Adhering to scientific rigor, Charles couldn't offer a definitive answer without thoroughly studying Tyrant. Okay, then, wait a while until we're settled, and you can slowly research it. Wang Yunxiao didn't mind. On the contrary, he admired Charles's rigorous scientific approach. Boss, don't worry, I'll give it my all, Charles assured him earnestly. Boss, can you transform Angela into a zombie, too? Charles hesitated, but finally asked. First, you must understand that after transformation into a zombie, the body's growth functions cease completely. This means that if Angela were to be transformed into a zombie now, she would remain a child forever. I imagine this isn't what you want, is it? Wang Yunxiao didn't agree outright, but instead explains some of the characteristics of zombies in detail. I understand. I was too impatient. Charles nodded quickly, secretly blaming himself for losing his composure. However, there was nothing he could do. Angela was everything to him. Furthermore, you must understand that even I can only transform into a limited number of zombies. So, Wang Yunxiao didn't finish his words, but he believed Charles understood his point. I understand. Charles' expression was inevitably a little frustrated, but he wouldn't resent Wang Yunxiao for this. For no other reason than blood, he subconsciously maintained his absolute loyalty to Wang Yunxiao. Charles's desire to transform Angela into a zombie wasn't because Angela hadn't perfectly integrated the T-virus. He was absolutely confident that, given more time, he could perfectly resolve the issue. Rather, upon becoming a zombie and realizing his immortality, his first thought was to transform Angela into a zombie, to keep her company forever. Don't worry too much, though. Once you advance further and become a third-generation zombie, you'll naturally be able to develop your own bloodline. Wang Yunxiao smiled, offering Charles another hope. With Wang Yunxiao's experience behind them, achieving the third-generation zombie stage would be easy for either Lane or Charles. The key issue is that their bloodlines were subject to Wang Yunxiao's restrictions, and their advancement ceiling would always be one level lower than his. Therefore, a crucial prerequisite for their advancement to the third-generation zombie stage was that Wang Yunxiao must first reach the second-generation stage. This restriction definitely benefits Wang Yunxiao more than it harms. While it limits the growth of his bloodline descendants, it also means he never has to worry about them taking over. Really? Boss, I'll definitely work hard. As expected, Charles was filled with energy upon hearing this, a blazing fire in his eyes. We guarantee 8,000 words per day, and we encourage new and existing readers to continue supporting this book by collecting and recommending it. Chapter 59, Truth and Despair. During the subsequent conversation, Wang Yunxiao learned a great deal about Umbrella from Charles, which gave him a greater sense of confidence in his upcoming plans. Honestly, although Wang Yunxiao was familiar with the plot of Resident Evil, the film's information about Umbrella was limited, leaving him relying on experience and speculation for many things. It was a bit unfortunate, as Charles was only a researcher, usually focused solely on developing the T-virus, and only had a general understanding of Umbrella's higher-ups. But at least this gave Wang Yunxiao a glimpse into the distribution of Umbrella's various research bases. Alright, Charles, go stay with Angela. Let's rest for 2 more days, we'll have another long journey. Of course, if you'd like, I can temporarily keep Angela in my personal space until we find a place to settle down, Wang Yunxiao said with a smile, patting Charles' shoulder. Not for now. Although Angela is still young, she's also been infected with a T-virus, so she's not so fragile. Charles thought for a moment, still reluctant to part with Angela. Well, that's just how he feels about his daughter. Is everything settled? Lane returned shortly after Charles left. Yes, from today on, our family has one more member. Wang Yunxiao nodded with a smile. Oh, by the way, Charles might need to do some more research on the T-virus. Firstly, Angela hasn't fully integrated the T-virus yet, and secondly, there's the issue with Chad and Matt that needs to be resolved. Wang Yunxiao thought for a moment and added. He had promised Lane that he wouldn't research the T-virus, but now it seemed clear he was going to break his promise, so he definitely needed to tell her in advance. While Wang Yunxiao wasn't worried Lane would be unhappy with him because of this, he still believed that since she had become his woman, their relationship needed to be maintained. Yes, I believe you, Lane nodded slightly, not reacting strongly. She wasn't the type to be unreasonable. She was also pleased by the respect Wang Yunxiao showed her. Get some rest for 2 days. Next, we should go meet Ms. Marcus, Wang Yunxiao said softly, holding Lane in his arms. I'll contact Red Queen later. Lane was only halfway through her words when Wang Yunxiao blocked her alluring red lips. This was destined to be another wonderful night. We have received and confirmed reports of an incident in Raccoon City. The truth is a mysterious plague, or a viral outbreak. We just received these shocking images. They were captured by Terry Ross, the former Raccoon City Channel 7 anchor. Umbrella Corporation has caused the deaths of countless innocent citizens. The public is calling for severe punishment and bringing the perpetrators to justice. The car sped along the Western Highway, the radio constantly blaring reports about Raccoon City and Umbrella Corporation. Such reports were not only on the radio, but also in major media outlets and online. For a time, Umbrella Corporation's reputation plummeted, and everyone condemned it. It seems like Terry and the others are doing quite well. It's a shame. Lane, who was driving, turned to Wang Yunxiao in the passenger seat and said, her expression complex, tinged with anger and resentment. That's perfectly normal, isn't it? If Umbrella hadn't reacted at all, that would have been a real problem. Wang Yunxiao spread his hands, having anticipated this development. Umbrella had indeed acted swiftly. As soon as the negative reports about them appeared in major media outlets and online, they immediately activated their emergency plan. Favorable reports poured in, completely burying the negative ones. New evidence dispels the previous false reports. The videotape has been proven to be a complete fabrication, a hoax used to deceive the public. The Raccoon City tragedy was simply a major nuclear reactor failure, the largest nuclear disaster since Chernobyl in Russia in 1986. The governor of Colorado personally expressed his gratitude to Umbrella for its swift rescue efforts. The perpetrators of the hoax, Terry Moros, Jill Valentine, Peyton Wells, Carlos Oliveira, Nikolai Zinovov, and others, are being pursued and questioned by the police. Such was the harsh reality. Although the evidence released by Terry and others caused some trouble for Umbrella, it was quickly suppressed. Furthermore, they became wanted criminals, with a hefty reward on the black market. Will they be alright? Lane asked worriedly. There's certainly some danger, but it shouldn't be a big problem. As long as they can hold out for a while. Besides, Umbrella won't focus too much attention on them. Alice and we are Umbrella's main targets, Wang Yunxiao said gently, shaking his head. Wait, what do you mean by as long as they can hold out for a while? Honey, do you know something? Lane, keenly hearing the hidden meaning in Wang Yunxiao's words, quickly pressed. Do you really think this will end here? As long as there are creatures surviving or escaping Raccoon City, they will become a source of infection for the T-virus. Charles knows this all too well, Wang Yunxiao said with a heavy face. Yes, if the T-virus breaks out, it will be a disaster that will sweep the world. It won't even take too long. Charles' tone was heavy, his eyes flickering with self-blame and regret. After all, he played a crucial role in the development of the T-virus. Is there any way to prevent this disaster? Lane pressed quickly. Although she knew the possibility was slim, she still asked with a 1 in 10,000 chance. For now, no. Although there is a serum, it is simply unrealistic to rely on it alone. The speed of virus infection and spread is too fast. Moreover, once you become a zombie, it is irreversible. Charles shook his head bitterly and said. Is there really no way at all? Lane's face was full of unwillingness and despair. Perhaps, if we can develop a large-scale, automatically spreading virus suppression serum, we should be able to save the world, Charles said uncertainly. He is not sure about this matter now. But Charles did not know that this serum has been developed a long time ago, but Umbrella Corporation has no intention of using it at present. 8,000 words are guaranteed to be updated every day. I hope that new and old readers will continue to support this book and collect and recommend it. Chapter 60 Meeting and Negotiation. Wang Yunxiao and his 4 companions were currently driving to New York, where he had agreed to meet with Alicia. This trip was not only part of Wang Yunxiao's plan, but also crucial to the success of his future plans. If all went well, it would fundamentally resolve the 4's current situation, freeing them from immediate concerns about Umbrella. After all, Alicia was one of Umbrella's most valuable assets, controlling 50% of the company's shares. While Alicia held no real say in Umbrella, having been excluded by management led by Oswell, her 50% stake was a real, unchangeable fact. It was believed that she must control certain resources, perhaps even something that Oswell and his team feared, such as the artificial intelligence Red Queen or the progenitor virus. After nearly a week of driving, Wang Yunxiao and his companions finally entered New York City and were immediately stopped by an oncoming red sports car. A cool and stunning Asian woman stepped out of the sports car. Her short, black hair was smooth and lustrous, her eyes were clear and bright, her eyebrows were arched, and her long, quivering eyelashes fluttered slightly. Her flawless, fair skin was faintly rosy, and her lips were as delicate as rose petals. She wore a crimson cheongsam, and as she walked, she flaunted her long, smooth, white legs, enough to catch any man's eye. Well, Wang Yunxiao had to admit, the moment he laid eyes on this woman, his heart skipped a beat. And he recognized her immediately. She was Ada Wong, the king of secret agents from Resident Evil, Hello, Mr. Wang. I'm Ada Wang. Ms. Marcus sent me to pick you up. Ada Wang introduced herself with a cool yet elegant air. Hello. Please lead the way, Wang Yunxiao replied politely, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. It wasn't that he was stunned by Ada Wang's beauty, he wasn't the type to become paralyzed by the sight of a beautiful woman. It was simply that he hadn't imagined that the mysterious Ada Wang could actually be Alicia's friend. It seems Alicia is truly remarkable. She definitely has more up her sleeve than the movies make her seem, Wang Yunxiao thought. But that wasn't surprising. Movies are just movies, after all, and this is the real world. If Alicia were truly that simple, she would have been devoured by Oswell and his men long ago, leaving nothing behind. How could she have lived to the end in peace? Okay, follow me closely. Ada Wang gave Wang Yunxiao a deep look before returning to the car. Speaking of which, Ada Wang was equally curious about Wang Yunxiao. His origins were mysterious, and it was over 90% certain he was from another world. His true strength was unfathomable. Even the tip of the iceberg he had shown was even more powerful than Alice, the perfect fusion of the T-virus. Wang Yunxiao's effortless elimination of the two tyrants was a testament to this. It could also help others perfectly integrate the T-virus. If Umbrella's higher-ups learned of this, they would be driven mad and would stop at nothing to apprehend him. This information was impossible for Ada Wang, both as the king of spies and a trusted aide to Alicia. Then, led by Ada Wang, two cars drove into Long Island, arriving at an old, idyllic mansion. This mansion was undoubtedly one of the finest in the entire wealthy district of Long Island. The mansion was heavily guarded. As Wang Yunxiao and his companions passed, they were met by heavily armed, black-clad men, both covertly and overtly. Perhaps having been warned in advance, they paid little attention to Wang Yunxiao and his companions' arrival, keeping their eyes fixed on them. I just wonder how many of these people are Oswell's men, Wang Yunxiao thought maliciously. He couldn't believe that none of them were sent by Oswell or bribed by him. Please wait a moment. I'll go inform Ms. Marcus. Wang Yunxiao and the others arrived at a quaint, elegant yet warm reception room. Ada Wang nodded politely to them before leaving. Have you seen enough? Your eyes are practically glued to her, Lane whispered, a hint of gritted teeth. Well, I don't mean anything else. I'm just admiring her, Wang Yunxiao explained carefully, firmly stating her position. Do you think I believe you? All men are bad, huh? Lane snorted, turning away, ignoring Wang Yunxiao. Wang Yunxiao smiled bitterly, feeling helpless. This also made him realize another truth. Jealous women are unreasonable, no matter what kind of woman they are. Ada Wang returned soon after, pushing a wheelchair. In it sat a woman with an aged face, yet exuding elegance and nobility. It was none other than Alicia, Wang Yunxiao's target. A faint resemblance to Alice could still be seen in her aged features, which surprised the completely unaware Lane. Hello, Mr. Wang. We finally meet. If you had been any later, I'm afraid this meeting wouldn't have been so easy. Alicia's voice was old, hoarse, and dry, sounding like a dying person. But it's not too late after all, is it? Hello, Ms. Marcus. I'm sure you know these three well enough, I guess, Wang Yunxiao said meaningfully. These words made him clearly understand that Alicia's current situation was definitely not good, and was actually getting increasingly difficult. It wasn't long before even her freedom would be restricted. Mr. Wang speaks very directly, unlike the Orientals I have met before. So, let's get down to business. Alicia nodded calmly and whispered, Red Queen, Ms. Marcus, the communication signal in the living room has been blocked. Your conversation will not be heard by anyone outside the living room. The next moment, Red Queen's voice echoed from the living room. Mr. Wang, I know you're targeting Red Queen, but I wonder what you can offer me, Alicia asked, gazing directly into Wang Yunxiao's eyes. Ms. Marcus, you're also very direct. What can I offer you? How about helping you eliminate your greatest enemy? For example, Oswell E. Spencer, another founder of Umbrella. Wang Yunxiao smiled, a smile of complete confidence. The pre-launch is tomorrow, and I'm so nervous. I hope everyone likes American comic zombies. I guarantee 8,000 words per day. I hope new and old readers will continue to support this book by collecting and recommending it. Chapter 61 Past and Ambition. Mr. Wang, you're joking. Mr. Spencer was my father's best friend and has always been very kind to me since my father's passing. He's not my enemy, Alicia's pupils constricted, yet she maintained a nonchalant expression. Is that really the case? Ms. Marcus, you just said you were straightforward, how come you've changed so quickly? Wang Yunxiao laughed, as if he had just heard the biggest joke. Ms. Marcus, there's no need to argue so quickly. I wouldn't say that if I weren't absolutely certain. From what I know, your father, Mr. James Marcus, was murdered by Oswell, and you've been under his surveillance the entire time. Without waiting for Alicia to argue, Wang Yunxiao bluntly stated the harsh truth. It seems Mr. Wang knows quite a bit. Alicia's body trembled at the words, and after a long silence, she spoke softly. Not only Alicia, but everyone in the living room was stunned by this shocking revelation. Who could have imagined that the highest echelons of Umbrella Corporation were hiding such a vast secret? Wang Yunxiao feigned a mysterious smile, remaining silent. He simply gazed at Alicia with a composed expression. Over 30 years ago, my father, Uncle Edward, and Oswell, while conducting paleontological research, discovered an ancient virus in the genes of queen ants. This virus grants those infected with it immense resistance and vitality. They named it the progenitor virus. Alicia's eyes grew hazy, lost in distant memories. This discovery thrilled my father, as it not only held enormous commercial potential but could also save me, who suffers from progeria. But researching the progenitor virus was far from easy. During their research, Uncle Edward accidentally contracted the virus and ultimately died. At this point, Alicia's eyes flickered with fear. She had witnessed firsthand the agony Edward endured after being infected by the progenitor virus. Charles, standing beside him, couldn't help but show a look of empathy. Hadn't he joined Umbrella and begun researching the T-virus to save his daughter Angela? My father, though fortunately uninfected, poured all his energy into virus research, leaving all company affairs to Oswell. Finally, my father's research yielded a breakthrough. The original T-virus was created, and my condition was partially cured. But unexpectedly, its side effects also emerged. The first researcher accidentally infected turned into a terrifying zombie-like monster. Alicia sighed softly, as if recalling the pain, confusion, and struggle her father James felt at the time. The incident was quickly and effectively covered up, unknown except to a few people. After careful consideration, my father decided to cease further research on the T-virus, but Oswell strenuously opposed it. As a result, Alicia's breathing quickened, panting heavily, as if she were experiencing a great deal of fear. I'll never forget that day when that demon, Oswell, personally covered my father with a plastic bag and suffocated him to death. I've been such a coward my whole life. I just stood there, watching helplessly, not even daring to cry out. Alicia closed her eyes in agony, her aged face etched with self-blame, regret, and a deep hatred for Oswell. For a moment, the atmosphere in the living room fell silent. No one spoke to interrupt Alicia's memory, giving her more time to move on from the painful memories of the past. Mr. Wang, you're right. I do want to kill the demon. If you can help me avenge my death, I promise to give you a copy of the Red Queen's main program. After an unknown amount of time, Alicia finally emerged from the nightmare and spoke through gritted teeth. No. I want the source code, Wang Yunxiao declared flatly. While sympathetic to Alicia's plight, sympathy is not something to be trifled with. Furthermore, this was their first meeting, and they had no ties to each other. This was simply a deal, and since it was a deal, he naturally didn't need to be polite. Seeing Wang Yunxiao's resolute stance, with no room for maneuver, Alicia couldn't help but struggle. The Red Queen was one of the few precious treasures her father had left her, and she had even created it based on her. It's not enough. Simply killing that demon isn't enough. I can give you the Red Queen's source code, but you must help me completely stop the demon's ambition. After much deliberation, Alicia finally relented, but also made her demands. What exactly is his ambition? Lane asked curiously. Oswell has been completely corrupted by greed and power, and he aspires to create a new world, Alicia said with a heavy face. Could it be? Oh, God, this is impossible, this is too crazy, Charles sighed in disbelief, as if realizing something. 17 months ago, Oswell convened a meeting of all Umbrella Corporation shareholders and senior management, proposing the implementation of Project Apocalypse, Alicia said quietly. What is Project Apocalypse? Lane asked. It's about ending the world, purging Earth's population, leaving behind its infrastructure and resources intact. Only the chosen can survive. Every word Alicia spoke was like a hammer, hammering down on the hearts of everyone present. Although familiar with the plot and having seen this scene in the movies, Wang Yunxiao still felt a chill when he heard Alicia speak it in person. Oswell's madness was even greater than that of the Red Skull. More importantly, this madman actually succeeded in carrying out this insane plan, causing a true apocalypse. So, that madman Oswell had long planned to release and spread the T-virus. Even without the events of Raccoon City that day, the zombie crisis would still have erupted, Lane said expressionlessly, the coldness in her eyes nearly freezing. I'm curious, how will Oswell deal with the zombies that have spread across the world? Charles got to the heart of the matter. The company has developed an airborne serum that will destroy the T-virus to the maximum extent possible. Anything that comes into contact with or is infected will be destroyed. Alicia offered her answer directly without hesitation. We guarantee 8,000 words daily. We encourage new and existing readers to continue supporting this book by collecting and recommending it. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62 Deal done. Alright, we agree to your terms. Now, please tell us where that bastard Oswell is, Lane suddenly said in a deep voice, not even asking Wang Yunxiao's opinion. Wang Yunxiao didn't say much. He had anticipated Alicia's request before coming here. It was simply a matter of gaining more control in the upcoming negotiations. I don't know. Alicia's response was disappointing. What do you mean you don't know? Lane muttered in dissatisfaction. Since that meeting, Oswell hasn't appeared in person. Now, it's his clones who are in charge of all Umbrella affairs. Only a very few people know where the real him is hiding. Alicia smiled wryly. Then who knows where Oswell is? Where are they? Lane asked again. I'm not sure either. Alicia's response was still disappointing. You don't know this, you don't know that, so what do you know? Lane was on the verge of exploding, glaring at Alicia with a slightly ferocious expression. Miss Lane, please remain calm. Seeing this, Ada Wong quickly stepped forward, shielding Alicia behind her, and watching Lane and Wang Yunxiao warily. Tell me, Ms. Marcus, what is your plan? Or, what do you need us to do? Wang Yunxiao spoke at the right moment, breaking the tense atmosphere. Wang Yunxiao knew, of course, that Alicia's words were not entirely true. Perhaps she truly didn't know Oswell's whereabouts, but she certainly knew who knew. Not only Alicia, but even Wang Yunxiao knew someone who knew Oswell's whereabouts, Albert Wesker, the G-Virus mastermind and one of his targets. HMPH, Lane snorted, regaining her composure and dropping her aggressive tone. Ada, it's okay. Alicia patted Ada Wong's arm, signaling that she needn't be so nervous. Yes, Ms. Marcus. Ada Wang followed her instructions, retreating behind Alicia. Mr. Wang, I need your help for someone. This person is crucial, someone Oswell values deeply. But I believe she will ultimately be the one to stop Oswell. Alicia finally revealed her true purpose. However, her words remained vague, clearly unwilling to reveal the individual she was referring to. Alice, Wang Yunxiao asked, seemingly questioning, but his tone was remarkably firm. Honestly, Alicia's intention didn't surprise him at all. After all, this was their first meeting, and mutual reservations, even distrust, were perfectly normal. He would have made the same choice. However, he simply didn't want to continue playing tricks on Alicia and simply laid it out. Alicia's expression froze for a moment, followed by an uncontrollable wry smile. This was undoubtedly the best answer. What is your relationship with Alice? Lane asked, surprised. From the moment she saw Alicia, she sensed a connection between them. She's my clone, a backup plan Oswell had prepared to replace me. However, she doesn't know this herself, Alicia said bitterly, her expression becoming quite complex. So that's why she always felt she was missing some of her memories, Lane murmured softly, finally understanding something. Ms. Marcus, since Alice is your clone and she doesn't know many things, how can you trust her so much? Charles questioned. He did have some understanding of the clone situation, but it was a blank slate, inevitably controlled by Oswell. Who could guarantee her future choices? Intuition. I trust it, Alicia gave a half-hearted answer. As for her true thoughts, perhaps only she knew. Charles pushed his glasses up his nose and said nothing more. Truly. Alicia's answer left him at a loss for words. If that's what you ask, I can agree. However, I'll only help when necessary and won't babysit her. Wang Yunxiao thought for a moment and nodded in agreement. Helping Alice wouldn't be a big deal for him. At most, it would take more time. He could afford that, and Charles's research on the T-virus would also require considerable time. That's enough. I'll let you know when the time comes. Alicia had no objection. Don't rush to agree. I haven't finished my terms yet. Ms. Marcus, whatever your plan is, I believe it will take a long time. In the meantime, we need a quiet place to research the T-virus. I have 2 friends who were transformed into tyrants. As you're aware, Wang Yunxiao shook his head slightly and made another request. If you can provide me with information on the progenitor virus, I think it would be much more helpful for my future research. Charles also made his request at the right time. Dr. Ashford, I must warn you that the progenitor virus is far more dangerous than you imagine, Alicia warned sternly, without refusing outright. It's okay, I'll keep an eye on it. Charles, however, remained unfazed. Having become a zombie, how could he possibly care about the progenitor virus? All right then, I'll provide you with the information on the progenitor virus. I just hope you won't regret it. Alicia sighed softly, agreeing to Charles' request. The information on the progenitor virus wasn't particularly valuable to her. Even if she did, it was just a nightmare from her childhood. Mr. Wang, you need to understand that while I own 50% of Umbrella's shares, my influence is minimal. Alicia then returned her gaze to Wang Yunxiao. So, Wang Yunxiao calmly met Alicia's gaze, waiting for her to continue. For now, I only have a limited say in the Chicago branch, but I can't offer you much help, Alicia said with a wry smile. Well, controlling 50% of the shares, she's truly a rare major shareholder. We guarantee 8,000 words of updates every day. We hope that new and old readers will continue to support this book and collect and recommend it. Chapter 63 Chicago Base. No problem. We can find a way to move the Chicago branch, but you'll need to handle any subsequent complications, Wang Yunxiao said without hesitation. To Wang Yunxiao, the location of the branch didn't really matter. Of course, a location closer to Raccoon City would be even better. He knew full well that the hive base in Raccoon City would soon be rebuilt. It was both the starting point and the end point, like a cycle, returning to its origin. Okay. I'll have Ada take you there and stay with you to help you with any issues, so we can communicate more quickly. Alicia thought for a moment before agreeing and sending Ada Wang over. However, while her words were polite and tactful, everyone present understood clearly that they were just excuses. In reality, they were keeping tabs on them. Alright, Wang Yunxiao didn't object. He saw sending Ada Wang as a good idea. It would strengthen Alicia's trust. He also believed they had no secrets to hide. Besides, what could be wrong with having a beautiful woman by his side? Of the 4, only Lane looked unhappy. Was this the proverbial repulsion between the sexes? As for little Angela, well, she was just a mascot for now, just cute. Afterward, Wang Yunxiao and Alicia discussed some details for a while before leaving the manor with the other 3 and Ada Wang. With that, Wang Yunxiao's purpose for meeting Alicia had essentially been achieved. While some details had deviated slightly from his original plan, they were not of major concern. Wang Yunxiao and his group didn't stay long in New York, departing directly for Chicago. Time was running out. The T-virus had begun to spread from Raccoon City. In just over 2 weeks, the entire western United States was already infested with zombies. If the situation continued at this rate, the entire United States would be overrun in a few weeks, and it could spread globally within a few months. During this period, as time progresses, and the entire world is engulfed in the zombie crisis, the pressure on Umbrella Corporation will intensify, and their vigilance will inevitably rise. They might even implement a closed-door management system. This would undoubtedly make what should have been a normal task escalate to a level of infernal difficulty. To avoid this, Wang Yunxiao and his team naturally sought to reach Umbrella's Chicago branch as quickly as possible, the smoother their plan would be. Fortunately, the distance from New York to Chicago is not that far. The 1,200-kilometer journey took Wang Yunxiao and his team just over 10 hours. Driving through Chicago, the streets were deserted, with few pedestrians. Everywhere they looked was a scene of devastation, a truly unbelievable sight for the third-largest city in the United States. While the T-virus hadn't yet spread to the southern United States, news of it had already spread throughout the country, making it impossible for Umbrella to conceal its activities. Chicago was severely affected. The highways out of the city were jammed with dense traffic, all of them fleeing. The train stations and airports were even more thronged, especially the airport, as people desperately tried to flee the United States. This situation was not just in Chicago, but across the entire southern United States, and indeed, across the country. Perhaps they thought that escaping the United States would bring them safety, but they had no idea that the crisis would be global, and no matter where they fled, the outcome would be the same, only a matter of time. Damn it. They all deserve to go to hell, the sight made Lane curse again, the umpteenth time she had cursed the Umbrella executives on the way. While the others in the car didn't share Lane's excitement, their expressions were serious, their eyes brimming with anger. Even little Angela remained silent, huddled obediently in the back seat. Right there, Ada Wong, sitting in the passenger seat, suddenly warned as the car drove a little further. Looking out the car window, they saw a modest industrial park, tightly enclosed by several meter-high walls, crisscrossed with electric fences and infrared sensors. Dozens of armed guards stood guard at the gate, vigilantly observing the surroundings. As the car approached, they cast a wary glance. "Don't stop, drive straight through," Ada Wang warned calmly. Lane didn't respond, but she obeyed, driving the car at a leisurely pace toward the park's gate. Not just at that moment, but throughout the entire journey, the two women barely communicated, like the two poles of a magnet, naturally repelling each other. Well, ultimately, this was all Wang Yunxiao's fault. "Hello, please show me your ID." As the car approached the park's gate, it was immediately stopped by several guards. Lane rolled down the window expressionlessly, letting in the guard's stern words. "Ms. Marcus sent us to inspect." Ada Wong also rolled down her car window and handed over her ID, her expression serious. "Let her pass." The guard simply checked Ada Wong's ID and let her through, clearly recognizing her. Indeed, Ada Wong had visited the Chicago branch more than once, and most of the guards there, as well as the researchers at the base, knew her. Not only because of Alicia's backing, but also because she was very familiar with John, the head of research at the base. There were even rumors that the two were in a relationship, and perhaps even John himself believed so. In reality, he was just an unlucky person being used. The overall layout of the industrial park was similar to other industrial parks, nothing out of the ordinary. But Wang Yunxiao and the others knew this was just a facade. The true research base, like the Beehive in Raccoon City, was buried deep underground. However, Wang Yunxiao and the others were still somewhat surprised by the lack of security within the park. They only saw a few sentry posts along the way, and saw no patrolling guards at all. The more this happened, the more wary they became. We guarantee 8,000 words per day, and hope new and old readers will continue to support this book by adding it to your collection and recommending it. Chapter 64 Traps and Invasion. Judging from the current situation, while the T-virus hasn't spread here yet, it's already widely known, causing widespread panic. As a key umbrella branch in the southern United States, the pressure will undoubtedly be immense, and the defenses must be more than just these few. The current situation only suggests one thing: news of Wang Yunxiao and his group's arrival has been leaked in advance. This is likely a trap, with a tight network already set within the base, waiting for them to slip through. Something seems amiss. What should we do? Ada Wang, realizing this as well, lowered her voice and asked Wang Yunxiao and the others. "I promise this has nothing to do with Ms. Marcus." Then, suddenly realizing something, Ada Wang quickly explained. "Don't worry. We don't doubt Ms. Marcus's intentions. Besides, this isn't a bad idea. We were planning to attack this place anyway. If they strike first, perhaps it will alleviate some of the pressure on Ms. Marcus," Wang Yunxiao said with a calm, nonchalant smile. "However, it's best not to let the children see what's coming next." Wang Yunxiao rubbed Angela's head as he spoke, then stored her in his personal space. Meanwhile, in the control room of the underground base within the park, every move of Wang Yunxiao and his group since entering the park was displayed on a 360-degree, unobstructed display on numerous monitors. William Birkin, the base director, was personally in charge. William was also a highly talented biologist, his achievements in biology rivaling Charles. However, he also possessed a natural passion for viruses and immense ambition. He was the founder and creator of the G-virus. The G-virus, or Golgotha virus, was a far more terrifying virus than the T-virus. It was a mutation caused by the forcible introduction of the nemesis parasite into T-virus-infected organism. Besides altering the genetic makeup of an organism, it also caused genetic evolution and mutation, and could even be passed down to future generations. William's G-virus research had long been stagnant, and he desperately needed a perfect T-virus fusion candidate for testing. Knowing Alice was Oswell's favorite, he hesitated to pursue her, so he set his sights on Wang Yunxiao and Lane, suspected perfect T-virus fusion candidates. When William learned, through a secret channel, indeed, leaked to him by Oswell, that Wang Yunxiao and his group were en route to his Chicago base, he was overjoyed. Without even notifying the Umbrella Board, and disregarding Alicia, the majority shareholder, he immediately decided to target Wang Yunxiao and his group, meticulously orchestrating their actions. Unfortunately, while William was a master at virus research, he was more so than usual in other areas. The trap was so crude, so obvious, and so flawed that if Wang Yunxiao and his group hadn't come with a purpose, how could they have fallen for it? Director William, this isn't a good idea. They were all sent by Director Marcus, Research Director John. The unfortunate individual being exploited by Ada Wong was also in the main monitoring room, speaking hesitantly to William. Stop the nonsense. Director Marcus is nothing. When the new century arrives, Umbrella will have a new master, William declared enthusiastically. But judging by the blazing ambition in his eyes, it was unclear whether this new master he was referring to was Oswell, the man who always held him in high regard, or himself. But did President Oswell just notify all bases not to provoke that Wang Yunxiao? John's face remained hesitant and conflicted. But one thing was clear, throughout this entire period, John had never once laid eyes on Ada Wong. He was truly heartless. After all, having become the research director of the Chicago base, how could he be a fool? Even if he couldn't react at the time, after all this time, how could he not see that Ada Wong was simply using him? Let me ask you, do you still want to succeed in G-virus research, push it to a new level, and completely replace the T-virus? William asked, staring directly into John's eyes. I do, John answered with absolute certainty, without a trace of hesitation. If the G-virus could truly be developed, his position within Umbrella would surely soar. That's fine. No matter what, I won't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. William's gaze returned to the monitor. Wang Yunxiao had just gotten out of the car, and his face was caught on camera. This filled his gaze with even more fascination, as if he were looking at a perfect work of art. William had seen Wang Yunxiao's amazing performances in Raccoon City countless times, and every time he saw them, his adrenaline surged. Well, this was a pervert. For the sake of G-virus research, he had completely become a perverted scientist. Director, the target has entered the elevator. Just as William was lost in his own fantasy, the captain of the security guard in charge suddenly warned him. According to the plan, capture them. Watch out, Wang Yunxiao and Lane, capture them alive, William ordered hurriedly, his eyes fixed on the surveillance camera again. The elevator descended rapidly. Wang Yunxiao and the others wore indifferent expressions. Even though they knew it was most likely a trap, they showed no fear. Wasn't this the beginning of their invasion? Ding, the elevator door slowly opened, revealing a wide corridor. Dozens of guards, shields raised, rifles aimed, greeted Wang Yunxiao and his companions from a distance. Intruders, surrender immediately, stern warnings blared from loudspeakers in the corners of the corridor. It really sounded like the truth. Idiot, Lane sneered disdainfully. The two submachine guns at her sides instantly reached her hands, emitting flames that sent the guards blocking the way sprawling. Bang, bang, bang. Ada Wang was not idle either. Bullets shot out from her gun, and each bullet would take the life of a guard. The two women were like a competition, competing to see who could kill the most enemies. In the blink of an eye, those guards were wiped out. In the whole process, they only had time to fire a few sporadic shots. Charles was stunned and even shuddered. He thought to himself, I'd better not offend these two women in the future. Although he is now a zombie and has a physical fitness that is 10 times that of an ordinary person, he has spent most of his life doing scientific research. This kind of fighting and killing is really not suitable for him. 8,000 words are guaranteed to be updated every day. I hope that new and old readers will continue to support this book and collect and recommend it. Chapter 65, Capture the Main Monitoring Room. Useless. What a bunch of useless, John roared in anger as he watched the first wave of intercepted and captured guards being so easily dispatched by Wang Yunxiao and his men. William, by contrast, was far calmer, his expression serene yet tinged with a hint of fanaticism. He stared intently at the monitor, silent. The monitors showed that as Wang Yunxiao and his men advanced, more guards were on the alert. This time, without waiting for Lane and Ada Wang to strike, they launched a fierce attack. Unfortunately, facing 3 zombies and 1 Asian king, these guards easily dodged the barrage of bullets and were tragically killed in the counterattack, completely powerless to resist. What good were these small-time figures, no matter how many they were? Unless they employed weapons of mass destruction, like nuclear bombs? But that was clearly impossible. Lane and Ada Wang swept through, not even slowing down their advance, as they pushed through layer after layer. Fill the main entrance with nerve gas and don't let them get in here, William gave the order coldly without hesitation. Supervisor, but our people are still there, the captain of the guard spoke quickly, trying to persuade him. Bang! A gunshot rang out, and William, without further ado, shot the captain of the guard on the spot. Any other questions? William slowly swept his cold eyes over the other people in the main monitoring room and asked expressionlessly. No one dared to say anything more and quickly began to carry out William's orders. I'll leave this place to you. I'll leave for a while. William patted John's shoulder again, gave him instructions, and then turned and left. Supervisor, John was completely stunned. He thought William was going to abandon them and run away alone, and his face immediately became extremely ugly. However, William was no longer visible. What are you looking at? Quickly release the poison gas, activate all safety measures, seal the internal blast doors, and eliminate them all. Despite repeated struggles, John dared not disobey William's orders. He fiercely issued a killing order, no longer even pursuing the capture of Wang Yunxiao and Lane alive. Having served under William for so many years, John knew William's ruthlessness better than anyone. If he dared to escape, he would face a fate worse than death. Wang Yunxiao and his men had already advanced to the middle of the underground base. From beginning to end, it was Lane and Ada Wang who had dealt with the enemy. He and Charles were just 2 silent spectators. Look out! Ada Wang suddenly cried out as they entered a narrow, long corridor, grabbing Lane who was walking in front of her. The next moment, a wall of transparent tempered glass suddenly crashed down just inches from Lane's face. It was a truly thrilling moment. The submachine gun she hadn't yet withdrawn was instantly cut in 2, demonstrating the sharpness of the glass wall. Thank you, Lane whispered, a complex expression flickering in her eyes. Then, as if to vent her anger, Lane picked up another submachine gun, and the muzzle spewed out a fierce stream of flames, instantly blasting the glass wall into a corkscrew, shattering it all over the ground. The group continued forward when suddenly, a protective umbrella pattern appeared on the ground not far away. The center suddenly rebounded, spinning and scattering bullets. Lane reacted quickly, immediately pushing Ada Wang to the ground and falling down herself, while still firing. The delicate device reduced to a pile of scrap metal. This time it's even. Lane, who had risen first, extended a hand to the still shocked Ada Wang. Thank you. Ada Wang breathed a sigh of relief, grasped Lane's hand, and stood up. The scene just now had been truly thrilling. After all, she was just a normal person. Even after enduring inhuman training, she couldn't possibly react to the same level as Rain. Wang Yunxiao, standing not far behind the 2 women, watched this scene with a gratified smile. He and Charles naturally had no problems either. If Rain could evade it, how could such a trap be so difficult for them? And so, the group continued on their way. Although the number of intercepting guards dwindled, the traps still caused them considerable trouble, but they were ultimately safe. Fortunately, this base lacked the laser traps like the Hive base in Raccoon City, otherwise they would have been in real danger. Bang, bang, as the group descended to the lower level, the alloy doors on either side of the corridor suddenly slammed shut. Oh no! It's poison gas. Wang Yunxiao's nose twitched slightly, his face suddenly changing. He shouted a warning, and threw himself against the wall with all his might. Bang! With a resounding bang, Wang Yunxiao's forceful blow ripped a large, human-shaped hole through the tempered glass wall, sending him plummeting downward. Upon seeing this, Lane and the other 2 immediately leaped from the hole in the wall. Gravitation pulled them downwards, sending them plummeting downwards. Bang, bang, bang! A barrage of gunfire rang out, aimed directly at the plummeting Wang Yunxiao and the others. Directly below them lay the main control room. Faced with Wang Yunxiao and the others suddenly appearing overhead and plummeting towards them, John went completely berserk, launching a reckless attack. The other guards in the main control room naturally followed suit, raising their guns and firing. Though trapped in midair with no way to relay their attacks, Wang Yunxiao and the others dodged the incoming fire with all their might. Furthermore, their rapid fall prevented them from taking many hits. Wang Yunxiao even had enough energy to hold Ada Wang in his arms, effectively acting as a human shield. A few bullets wouldn't be a big deal for him, they'd only scratched his skin at best. But Ada Wang couldn't handle that, it would have been fatal. On the other side, while dodging, Lane raised her gun and fought back directly. Her accuracy was much better than John's group, and she basically killed everyone with every shot. Now it was only the fourth generation of zombies, and the bullets would undoubtedly cause a certain degree of damage to her, or Charles, but as long as they avoided some vital parts, they would not lose their combat effectiveness in a short period of time, and over time they would be able to automatically expel the bullets and heal the wounds. Crash, the ceiling was smashed, and Wang Yunxiao and others landed safely. After all, this was less than the 10th floor, and it would not cause much damage to them. Bang bang bang, more intense shooting sounds rang out. There were attacks from John and his men, but more importantly, it was Lane pouring out her anger. 8,000 words are guaranteed to be updated every day. I hope new and old readers will continue to support this book and collect and recommend it. Chapter 66 G-Virus. Chapter 31, G-Virus. Thank you, safely landing. Ada Wang broke free from Wang Yunxiao's embrace. After giving him another complex, deep look, she turned and joined the battle, helping Lane eliminate the guards in the main monitoring room one by one. You're welcome, Wang Yunxiao murmured softly, his lips curled slightly, as if still savoring the touching touch and charm. Soon, the gunfire subsided, and the main monitoring room was littered with corpses. Aside from Wang Yunxiao and the others, no one was left alive. No. There should be one more. Get out, Lane shouted coldly, her sharp eyes piercing the side table. Don't kill me. The next moment, John trembled and crawled out from under the table. Don't kill me. As long as you don't kill me, I'll agree to anything. John, terrified and pale, begged for mercy. Are you the supervisor here? Wang Yunxiao asked calmly, taking 2 steps forward to stop Lane from striking John. I'm not. I'm just the research supervisor. William is the base supervisor, and he's already escaped. Please, don't kill me. I'll do anything, John pleaded, tears streaming down his face. Lane's raising of her gun had nearly frightened him to death. Hold the guards and seal off the entire underground base, Wang Yunxiao ordered calmly. Yes, yes. I'll give the order right away. John didn't hesitate, scrambling to the main control console and carrying out Wang Yunxiao's orders. Soon, the underground base returned to peace. This signaled that Wang Yunxiao and his team had successfully invaded and that the base would soon have a new owner. Without further questioning from Wang Yunxiao and his team, the fearful John unleashed everything he knew. I didn't expect this base to be researching the G-Virus. Wang Yunxiao's eyes suddenly lit up as John spoke of the G-Virus research, his interest piqued. He knew full well that the G-Virus was far more potent than the T-Virus. In some ways, it was an advanced version of the T-Virus, naturally more unstable, with more and more serious drawbacks. Quick! Take me to the G-Virus lab, Charles demanded. While he had never encountered the G-Virus, he had heard of it. Yes. I'll take you there, John dared not object, and immediately led Wang Yunxiao and the others straight to the G-Virus lab. The lab was located on the lowest floor of the base, just below the main monitoring room where they were, and they arrived quickly. The view was of a vast, technologically advanced laboratory filled with nutrient pods of varying sizes. A myriad of monsters filled the pale green nutrient solution, their only commonality being their hideous ugliness. Disgusting. I want to burn this place down. Lane curled her lips in disgust. Don't, these will be of great help to my future research, Charles, startled, disregarding his lab tour, quickly exhorted. Aren't you researching the T-Virus? Lane asked, puzzled, but she didn't mention destroying the place. She was relatively polite to Charles, a family member. Both the T-Virus and the G-Virus are derived from the progenitor virus. They share many similarities. Once he touched on his field, Charles launched into rambling exposition. All right, stop talking. I can't understand you anymore. But you have to promise me that after we've solved the problems with Angela, Chad, and Matt, these things must be destroyed to prevent harm to others and ourselves." Lane waved her hand, interrupting Charles's scientific exposition. But she didn't forget to solemnly state her position. "No problem," Charles agreed without hesitation. He was researching the T-virus for his daughter, Angela, and had never considered profiting from it. Besides, he knew better than anyone the extent of the T-virus's dangers. "I'm human now." Seeing Lane's gaze return to him, Wang Yunxiao shrugged, making his position clear. Honestly, even Wang Yunxiao found viruses incredibly troublesome. If mishandled, they could cause a massive mess. From the beginning, whether it was the progenitor virus, the T-virus, or the G-virus, none of them had been his target. Otherwise, if he brought any of these viruses back to the Marvel Universe and caused further trouble, even powerful figures like the Ancient One would be on the lookout to eliminate him. Listening to the three's conversation, Ada Wong's eyes flickered with surprise. The T-virus was incredibly harmful, but it also brought considerable wealth. Wasn't Umbrella's current size entirely due to it? John, though deeply regretful, dared not voice any opinion, not even the slightest hint of expression. After all, his life was in the hands of Wang Yunxiao and the others, and there was no guarantee of his future. Roar! Suddenly, a wild, beast-like roar, tinged with pain, erupted from the deepest recesses of the laboratory. Upon hearing this, Lane and the other two immediately fixed their gazes on John. Their eyes were sharp as knives, gleaming with cold murderous intent. They'd assumed this was another trap, John's last-ditch effort. "Don't look at me. I really don't know what's going on. As far as I know, there hasn't been a single successful experiment with a G-virus. I really don't know." John panicked, nearly falling to the ground in a cold sweat. "HMPH. That's for the best," Lane snorted, her words unfinished, but the threat was palpable. As the saying goes, skill breeds courage. She immediately headed towards the source of the roar. Wang Yunxiao and the others didn't hesitate, following Lane to investigate. Bang, bang, the roaring subsided, followed by a series of loud bangs against the door. The alloy door was shattered into bulges like laughing adult heads. What a tremendous force, everyone gasped at the sight, their hearts aching with caution. They had encountered alloy gates like this before, and even they would have found it difficult to inflict such damage. Reaching the gate, Wang Yunxiao and the others hesitated, wondering what kind of monsters lay within, and how many there were. We guarantee 8,000 words daily. We encourage new and existing readers to continue supporting this book by adding it to your collection and recommending it. Chapter 67 Crazy William. Bang! Bang! A series of dull, resonant noises echoed through the laboratory, the alloy door trembling constantly as if it would collapse at any moment. Lane and the others stared intently, their guard rising. Perhaps the monster behind the door wasn't particularly formidable, but the unknown was the most terrifying, as was human nature. Click, with a crisp sound, the door slowly swung open. Hiding behind Wang Yunxiao and the others, John's eyes flashed with resentment. Though his body still trembled with fear, his right hand, hidden behind his back, discreetly flipped a hidden switch. He had worked at the base for over a decade, and was the head of research, so he knew everything about it. When John had initially brought Wang Yunxiao and the others here, he had naturally shirked any ulterior motives. But with this sudden turn of events, things were different. Ever since he'd fallen into their hands, he hadn't believed Wang Yunxiao and the others would let him go. So, no matter how slim the opportunity, he wouldn't let it go. He was determined to fight for it, no matter what. However, John, believing he was acting stealthily, was unaware that Wang Yunxiao and the others had spotted him the moment he opened the alloy door. However, the impending danger kept them from paying attention. Roar! A furious roar rippled through Wang Yunxiao and the others' ears. A figure stood over 3 meters tall, its right hand enormous, with an eye embedded in it. The right side of its body, and even the smaller portion of its face, was covered in bulging muscles. Something seemed to be growing from its chest, a truly hideous sight. What the hell is this monster? It's disgusting. Amidst exclamations of shock, Lane raised her submachine gun and unleashed a volley of bullets. However, to everyone's astonishment, the bullets left only a few bloody holes in the creature's body, leaving no other damage. These holes were healing at a visible rate. Roar! The monster roared, its brutal gaze instantly fixed on Lane, but it didn't pounce immediately. It seemed to be enduring some inhuman agony, its already hideous face appearing even more hideous. Huh? It looks like William, Ada Wang said uncertainly. She had seen William before, but now she saw a hint of him in this monster. The director of this base, Lane asked, somewhat incredulous. Ada Wang nodded slightly. The more she looked at him, the more resemblance he felt. She was now 80% certain that this monster was William. Everyone, even Wang Yunxiao, was shocked by this. They couldn't imagine how mad this William could be, to transform himself into a monstrous creature, neither human nor ghost. After all, this guy was the director of the Chicago base. Who else could have reduced him to such a horrible state? This madman, he actually injected himself with a G virus. Charles revealed the truth. Although a fellow scientist, he couldn't understand William's madness. As everyone was talking, the monster underwent another astonishing transformation. It no longer resembled a human. The eye on its right arm grew even larger, its right hand evolved into a giant claw, and its left hand and legs began to transform into monster-like forms. 2 more claws sprouted from its chest. This monster can evolve a second time. Everyone was stunned. They hadn't expected the G virus to be so powerful, far surpassing the T virus. And that's not all. Look, the changes are still continuing. Charles observed more closely and quickly warned. Indeed. Then we can't wait any longer. We must eliminate him as soon as possible. Lane's eyes sharpened after confirming this, and she was about to strike. Let me do it. Wang Yunxiao stopped Lane and strode towards the monster. Suddenly, the God of War blade appeared in his hand. Roar, as if sensing danger, the monster finally moved, roaring furiously and striding towards Wang Yunxiao. Every step it took emitted a dull thud, and the ground gave way slightly. You know, the ground here is made of steel. Ha! Wang Yunxiao shouted softly, and the war god's blade in his hand slashed down with a whistling sound, as if it would cut the monster in two. Roar! The monster was huge, seemingly unwieldy, but in reality it was anything but. Its massive right claw swung out in an instant, blocking the war god's blade. Clang! A crisp sound, like the clanging of metal, shook everyone's ears. The monster was sent flying on the spot, completely at a disadvantage in the battle of strength. But its huge claws were extremely strong, and they withstood the full force of the war god's blade without a single scratch. Wang Yunxiao raised his brow slightly, inwardly surprised by the monster's immense strength. Even compared to the 4th-generation zombies of Lin or Charles, it was stronger than anyone else. But his attack didn't let up. He charged out like a cannonball, catching up to the still flying monster. With a flash of sharp blade, he slashed down with all his might. Puff! The strike was incredibly sharp. The war god's blade slashed in an uncanny arc, deliberately avoiding the monster's massive claws and severing its left claw. A thick cloud of sticky blood splattered, and the stench was truly disgusting. Roar! The monster roared in agony. Although one arm had been severed, it still had 3. All 3 swung together, slamming down heavily on Wang Yunxiao. Simultaneously, the broken part of its left arm began to regenerate at a visible rate. Damn, this is disgusting. It seems the war god's blade needs to be disinfected to finish this disgusting thing off. Wang Yunxiao easily dodged the monster's attack, even finding time to grumble, demonstrating just how relaxed he was. Even if the monster had only evolved to its 2nd stage, even at its final stage, it would likely be no match for him. Swish! The sharp blade flashed again, and the other arm on the monster's chest was also cut off and flew away. Roar! The monster became even more violent, and rushed forward desperately. Every time its huge right claw swung down, it could smash a big hole in the ground, but unfortunately it just couldn't hit Wang Yunxiao. While leaping and moving, Wang Yunxiao not only avoided the monster's violent attacks time and time again, but every time he slashed, he would take away an arm of the monster, or a large piece of flesh and blood. Soon, except for that sturdy giant claw, there was no intact part of the monster's body. 8,000 words are guaranteed to be updated every day. I hope that new and old readers will continue to support this book and collect and recommend it. Chapter 68 Control of the Base. Roar! Roar! The monster roared furiously, its eyes gleaming with fear. It no longer attacked Wang Yunxiao, its massive body charging in all directions, already attempting to flee. This also showed that the monster possessed a degree of intelligence, far superior to the instinctively driven zombies. Unfortunately, Wang Yunxiao had already confined it within a certain range, leaving it with no way to retreat. Swish! Another flash of sharp blade light hurled the monster's hideous head flying, spraying foul-smelling blood over a meter high. Its massive body slammed heavily to the ground, twitching a few times before remaining silent. How disgusting! Wang Yunxiao quickly withdrew, still complaining. With a powerful swing of his right hand, the foul-smelling blood-stained the god of war's blade was completely blasted away. "Are you okay?" Lane hurried over. Though she could see Wang Yunxiao was unharmed, not even his clothes were damaged, she couldn't help but ask with concern. "It was just a small incident. How could it possibly hurt me?" Wang Yunxiao shrugged, indicating she was perfectly fine. "This monster is truly powerful." Glancing at the battered creature not far away, Lane's pupils narrowed slightly as she sighed softly. "Once you become familiar with the power within you, you can do it too," Wang Yunxiao said softly with a faint smile. He was indeed right. While the fourth-generation zombie was still somewhat inferior to this monster in terms of strength, Charles, who wasn't good at fighting, would have had little chance of victory. But Lane, a master of martial arts, was different. Combat required more than sheer strength. Furthermore, Lane possessed telekinesis. "Yes," Lane nodded, her face filled with determination, her eyes gleaming with yearning. "Next, it's time to deal with a certain smartass." A sardonic smile flashed across his face as Wang Yunxiao, pulling Lane along, walked towards John, who had retreated a good distance but didn't dare flee. He didn't lower his voice, seemingly intent on intimidating the creature. "Just kill him. He's no good anyway," Lane said coldly, again without a hint of veneer. John's already frightened pale face drained of color after hearing these words. He huddled in a corner, trembling like a pile of chaff. "Charles, I'll leave the rest to you," Wang Yunxiao patted Charles' shoulder as they passed. That monster was infected with a G-virus, and a careless move could easily cause it to spread. While the G-virus's contagiousness wasn't yet known, it was likely no less potent than the T-virus. Charles was the only one among them who could handle this. "Don't worry, leave it to me," Charles nodded, his face filled with caution. Ada Wang glanced at the monster's corpse with a complicated expression. After a moment's deliberation, she followed Wang Yunxiao and Lane. "Don't kill me. It's really none of my business." "I didn't know William could be so mad," John screamed in terror as Wang Yunxiao and the others drew closer. His voice, a bit off-key, sounded like that of a young girl being abused, making it particularly piercing. Wang Yunxiao remained silent, simply gazing at John calmly. Beside him, Lane was less polite, her eyes gleaming with cold murderous intent. Had she not known Wang Yunxiao had no intention of killing him, she would have attacked him immediately. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I won't do it again. Please, give me one more chance." John opened his mouth, but upon meeting Wang Yunxiao's cold, emotionless eyes, the words on his lips instantly turned into a plea for mercy, tears streaming down his face. "This is the last time. If you try to be clever again, that monster will be your end. And we just need test subjects," Wang Yunxiao said calmly, as if you were discussing something completely ordinary. Yes, I really won't dare to do it again," John desperately promised, kowtowing repeatedly. To save his life, he no longer cared about anything else. "Coward," Lane snorted coldly and walked away. Whether it was the disgusting guy in front of her or the laboratory that was filled with a gloomy atmosphere, she didn't want to stay any longer. "Ada, I'll leave this guy to you. Also, please notify Ms. Marcus, she will need to handle the next matters." Wang Yunxiao smiled helplessly and turned to Ada Wang. The two of them were old friends, so handing John over to Ada Wang was the best option. As for Alicia, Wang Yunxiao wasn't worried at all. As a major shareholder holding 50% of Umbrella Corporation's shares, Wang Yunxiao had given her such a significant advantage. If she couldn't handle such a small matter, then there was no point in cooperating. "Rest assured, Mr. Wang, Ms. Marcus won't let you down," Ada Wang said confidently. With William dead and John in her hands, handling the situation couldn't be simpler. Simply push John into the position of base director. Would that be a natural progression? As for whether John might pull off any more shaded moves as base director of the Chicago branch, Ada Wang wasn't worried at all. He was just a puppet, his life hanging in their hands. What kind of trouble could he possibly cause? As Ada Wang had anticipated, things went smoothly. In just 3 days, Alicia had everything in place. John became the puppet base director of the Chicago branch, effectively giving Wang Yunxiao firm control over the entire base. The smooth sailing was thanks to Oswell's help. This was a crucial moment in his mad ambition, and he didn't want any complications at this juncture. To him, it was just a branch base, nothing insignificant. As for the equally important G-virus, all the relevant test data had already been secured by him. And with the help of Ada Wong, someone so familiar with the situation, organizing and managing the Chicago branch and even the underground base was a piece of cake. Furthermore, despite being a former agent, she possessed exceptional talent in company management. This made Wang Yunxiao thankful that Alicia had sent Ada Wong. He even had other thoughts in mind. Thank you to Kang Dad's book for the 100 Kidian coins, and Trilogy for the 200 Kidian coins. Your support is Junlin's greatest motivation. We guarantee 8,000 words daily. We encourage new and existing readers to continue supporting this book by collecting and recommending it. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69, A Few Years in a Hurry. Time flew by, and years passed in the blink of an eye. The world was vastly different from when Wang Yunxiao first arrived. The world was overrun by zombies, with only a handful of humans left. This was a truly apocalyptic crisis. In fact, even before the zombie outbreak in Raccoon City, the T-virus had spread throughout the United States in a matter of weeks, and globally in a mere few months. The T-virus would not only destroy humanity, but would also dry up lakes and rivers, turn forests into deserts, and transform all land into a barren wasteland. The Earth was already on the verge of collapse. For the past few years, Wang Yunxiao and his companions had remained quietly at Umbrella's Chicago base, refraining from further trouble, watching the world gradually crumble under the ravages of the T-virus. This reassured Umbrella executives like Oswell, who had been wary of Wang Yunxiao, and they refrained from harassing him. They even pretended to abandon Chicago completely. As for that unfortunate John, he'd initially made some minor moves, but either Ada Wong easily neutralized them or his backer, Oswell, didn't respond at all. Over time, he stopped messing around and became his puppet. Speaking of Ada Wong, it's undeniable that she was a perfect assistant. Not only did she manage all matters at the base in perfect order, she also offered excellent advice on many matters, not to mention intelligence, which was her forte. This saved Wang Yunxiao a great deal of trouble. To be frank, without her presence, they might not have been able to get by peacefully these past few years. For this reason, Ada Wong earned the unanimous approval of the others. Needless to say, Wang Yunxiao had been eyeing him for a long time. Even Rain's relationship with her had improved considerably. While not quite to the level of best friends, they could still be considered close friends. Then there was Angela, who was particularly attached to him. For the past few years, Charles had been completely absorbed in T-virus research, with her taking care of the little girl. It was precisely because Ada Wang cared so well for Angela that Charles was able to focus entirely on T-virus research. The results were naturally encouraging. He had essentially perfected the T-virus, at least solving the problem of Angela's perfect integration with the virus. However, Charles encountered a bottleneck with the two tyrants, Chad and Matt. The perfected T-virus allowed them to evolve further, even reaching the level of the sleeping tyrant, but their appearance remained the same, half human, half ghost, even more terrifying, and they still lacked any sense of consciousness. Charles concluded that the T-virus alone could not truly solve the problems of Chad and Matt. So, he turned his attention to the progenitor and G-viruses, hoping for a breakthrough. However, so far, he hasn't made much progress and needs more time. Let's talk about Rain. These past few years have been incredibly fulfilling. Under Wang Yunxiao's guidance, she's fully mastered the power of the fourth-generation zombie body, making remarkable progress and now perfectly controlling her own strength. Furthermore, Rain has made tremendous progress in telekinesis, surpassing even Alice's later abilities. This allows her to easily slaughter G-virus-infected monsters like William. Besides Rain's own hard work, another crucial factor for her astonishing progress is the zombie bloodline that has further stimulated her telekinetic potential. For example, if the T-virus originally granted her a telekinetic power level of 1, it has now reached a new level. The difference is far more significant than the difference between a 4th generation and a 3rd generation zombie. Finally, there's Wang Yunxiao. While Wang Yunxiao has been guiding Rain over the past few years, he's also been busy himself. While controlling the power within him naturally didn't require much effort, his spatial abilities had indeed grown tremendously. Today, Wang Yunxiao has fully mastered the spatial energy within his body, allowing him to enter that mysterious other world and travel through space at any time. He has even developed a new special ability, Flash. Yes, Flash, not the teleportation Wang Yunxiao had initially envisioned. The two sound similar, but they are fundamentally related. Simply put, Flash is short-range teleportation. Wherever you look, you transcend time and space, arriving in an instant. While Wang Yunxiao was extremely satisfied with Flash, which made his attacks even more unstoppable and more than doubled his strength, he remained unsatisfied and continued to strive for further development. He felt that Flash was far from reaching its limit. Not only did it consume a lot of energy, with a delay of 1 to 3 seconds between uses, but it also hadn't reached its maximum range, limiting it to teleporting within a 500-meter range. Wang Yunxiao's definition of a perfect Flash is one with minimal energy consumption, no time delay, and no distance restrictions. Whether it's 1, 2, 5, or even further, it truly reaches you in an instant. That day, Ada Wang opened the door to Wang Yunxiao's training room, striding in with her long, charming legs and a charming smile. Ever since taking control of the base, Wang Yunxiao had ordered 2 dedicated training rooms on the second-to-last underground floor, the main monitoring room, specifically for him and Rain. The equipment inside was state-of-the-art. "You're here? What's up?" The next moment, Wang Yunxiao appeared before Ada Wang. "Huh? I've told you so many times not to appear like this. It's really scary, you know." Ada Wang patted her chest and gave Wang Yunxiao a sullen look. Although she already knew Wang Yunxiao possessed a special ability similar to teleportation, she still felt a little uncomfortable whenever he suddenly appeared before her. "Sorry, I'll be more careful next time," Wang Yunxiao shrugged, offering a half-hearted apology. "You always say that. I just received news that Alice has finally appeared, and has been targeted by Oswell's clones." Alice rolled her eyes at Wang Yunxiao again before getting down to business. For years, Wang Yunxiao had consistently urged her to keep a close eye on Alice's intelligence, so she rushed over immediately after receiving the news. We guarantee 8,000 words per day, and we encourage new and existing readers to continue supporting this book by adding it to your collection and recommending it. Chapter 70 News about Alice. "It's finally about to begin," Wang Yunxiao muttered to himself, listening intently to Ada Wang's story while carefully weighing his next move. Speaking of which, Alice and the others hadn't lived as peacefully as Wang Yunxiao and his group over the past few years. Ever since they separated from Wang Yunxiao and Lane that day, Jill, Carlos, and the others had embarked on a journey of escape. Although they weren't Umbrella's primary targets, the police's wanted notices and the bounty on the underground black market still plagued them, leaving them in constant fear. Then, with a zombie crisis sweeping across the United States, and even the world, life for Jill, Carlos, and the others became even more difficult. Faced with the overwhelming, endless horde of zombies, they had no other choice but to flee. Many old friends left, and many new ones joined them, but the theme of their existence remained constant, the endless flight. As for Alice, who was Umbrella's primary target, the situation was even more difficult. Moreover, it wasn't just Umbrella that was looking for her. Wasn't she also looking to Umbrella to recover her lost memories? The result was tragic. Even if Alice had perfectly integrated the T-virus, let alone developed her telekinesis to such an extent, she couldn't possibly outmaneuver a massive corporation. Not long after separating from Jill, Carlos, and the others, she was captured by Umbrella. Although Alice managed to escape soon after, she had no idea that Umbrella was merely letting her go. However, their surveillance of her never slackened. It could be said that Alice lived under Umbrella's watchful eye from the very beginning. However, after suffering repeated losses at the hands of Umbrella, Alice finally learned her lesson. Not only did she cut off all external communications, she also sought out remote, inaccessible areas, even those completely hidden from satellite surveillance. This allowed her to evade Umbrella's pervasive surveillance, but it also left Wang Yunxiao completely in the dark. Today, Alice has finally reappeared, and unsurprisingly, Umbrella has once again targeted her. What are you going to do next? Ada Wang asked Wang Yunxiao, sharing the intelligence she had obtained about Alice through special channels. Such an interesting matter, I naturally want to get involved. Speaking of which, we've been quiet for so long, it's time to get out and about. Wang Yunxiao smiled faintly, a mysterious glint in his eyes. How can I help? Ada Wang asked softly, her eyes fixed on Wang Yunxiao without blinking. After spending several years together, and with Wang Yunxiao's intentional or unintentional closeness, while she couldn't say she had completely fallen in love with Wang Yunxiao, she did have a certain fondness for him. Otherwise, Ada Wang wouldn't have been able to stay by Wang Yunxiao's side so peacefully, helping him tirelessly, despite Alicia's concern. She wasn't one to settle down, and she preferred the thrill of a life as an agent to staying in one place. That's fine this time. Rain and I will go, and you can stay with Charles and look after our base. Your identity is a bit sensitive, so we'll avoid making things difficult for Ms. Marcus. Wang Yunxiao thought for a moment and said so. Okay, I understand. Ada Wang nodded slightly, a flicker of disappointment in her eyes. Don't think you're safe at the base. Lane and I will inevitably come face to face with Oswell's clone when we go out this time. There's a good chance you'll face retaliation from them. Wang Yunxiao, seeing this, quickly offered a soothing reassurance. Don't worry, Charles and I are here, along with your two friends. While their condition hasn't improved significantly, it's under control. Even if they do come looking for us, we can handle it. Despite Wang Yunxiao's concerns, Ada Wang expressed confidence. The two discussed a few more details before leaving the training room together. That evening, Wang Yunxiao and the others enjoyed a rare meal together. They bid farewell to Wang Yunxiao and Lane and discussed their next steps. Early the next morning, Wang Yunxiao and Lane departed the Chicago base, once again embarking on their journey back to Raccoon City. The road stretched to a boundless desert, completely silent save for the swarms of zombies. The scene was truly horrifying. This also made Wang Yunxiao and Lane feel less inclined to talk, and they mostly continued their journey in silence. After days of relentless travel, Wang Yunxiao and Lane finally reached the borders of Raccoon City. Today, no trace of a modern city remains, it has been reduced to utter ruins. More importantly, no one knows how many zombies are hiding within these ruins. Wang Yunxiao and Lane stood atop a tower on the outskirts of the ruins, with a panoramic view of the entire site. A short distance to their left and front was a gas station, where a thrilling battle between humans and zombies was unfolding. Damn! What's going on with these zombies? Lane gasped, her eyes gleaming with disbelief as she watched the fierce battle nearby. She had seen countless ordinary zombies, but these were anything but ordinary. They were incredibly fast and agile. Their destructive power had increased exponentially, if not by a factor of 2. There, hordes of zombies, all dressed in uniform lab coats, were chasing a dozen or so survivors, occasionally pinning them down and devouring them alive, only to rejoin them. According to intel obtained by Ada Wang, Oswell's clone has been studying Alice's blood. Wang Yunxiao's reply was only half-spoken, but his meaning was clear. In reality, this wasn't Ada Wang's intel. It was clearly information he'd gathered through the plot. Damn. Hey, look who those are, Lane cursed bitterly, his expression suddenly changing, and he couldn't help but gasp. Following Lane's gaze, Wang Yunxiao saw quite a few familiar faces, Carlos, JD, and even Alice. Of course, even though he hadn't noticed before, he'd already known they'd be there. We guarantee 8,000 words daily. We encourage new and existing readers to continue supporting this book by bookmarking and recommending it. Chapter 71 Old Friends Reunion. Help them. Before Wang Yunxiao could say anything, Lane leaped from the tower and rushed over to Alice and the others. Da, 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 rapid gunfire rang out. Lane, submachine gun in hand, charged into the horde of new zombies, her muzzle spitting flames as she blasted the heads off one new zombie after another. Wang Yunxiao followed Lane leisurely, casually dispatching those that tried to advance. Although Lane was the only one charging, her impact was immediate, quickly saving the survivors and turning the tide. Da, 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 the gunfire gradually died down. The new zombies had been decimated, leaving only a few scattered, and the survivors were more than capable of handling them. But by then, only a few remained. Wang Yunxiao and Lane walked side by side towards Carlos. He was clearly in poor condition, with a bloody wound on his right arm, clearly caused by a zombie bite. Not far in front of him lay the corpse of JD, now infected and transformed into a zombie. A large, bloody hole had been shot through the center of his forehead. Wang, Lane, why are you here? Carlos, seeing Wang Yunxiao and Lane, exclaimed in surprise. Long time no see. Lane nodded slightly, not showing much enthusiasm, but those who knew her well knew that was just her nature. What's going on? Lane then returned her gaze to JD's corpse. Carlos opened his mouth, but nothing came out, only a deep sigh. You were bitten by him. Wang Yunxiao, knowing the situation, spoke directly rather than questioning. Carlos remained silent, but the complex expression on his face was clear. Seeing this, Lane fell silent, a flicker of reminiscence and pain in her eyes. She had experienced this before and understood Carlos's feelings perfectly. Well, buddy, I have to say, you're as lucky as ever, meeting us at this time, Wang Yunxiao said teasingly, intending to ease the silence. At the same moment, a vial of T-virus serum appeared in his hand and he tossed it directly to Carlos. Thank you. Carlos, recognizing the serum, quickly took it, thanking him profusely with surprise, and injected it without hesitation. You're welcome, we're old friends. But it looks like you haven't had an easy time these past few years. By the way, how are Jill and the others? Wang Yunxiao shrugged, asking about them knowingly. I don't know. Jill got lost 2 years ago. As for the others, well, fuck. This damn world. Carlos's expression darkened, and he cursed angrily. Brother Carlos, at this moment, the remaining survivors gathered around, staring at him nervously, occasionally casting curious glances at Wang Yunxiao and Lane. It was clear that Carlos was the leader of these survivors. However, the number of these people was clearly much greater than Wang Yunxiao and Lane had just seen. Aside from the few who had just engaged in a fierce battle with the new zombies, the others were women and children with little fighting ability, likely having taken cover. Is everyone okay? Carlos's expression dimmed after a quick glance at the survivors who had arrived. Many of his comrades had fallen. We're all fine. Carlos, how are you? Claire hurried over to Carlos's side, looking anxiously at the wound on his arm. The other survivors' eyes were filled with worry and concern, but none of them seemed to be avoiding or evading Carlos' impending transformation into a zombie. It seemed that Carlos held a high reputation among the survivors. Don't worry, I'm fine. I just received the serum, Carlos said gently, shaking his head. Serum? Claire's eyes flickered with confusion, then a thought occurred to her, and she quickly returned her gaze to Wang Yunxiao and Lane. Let me introduce you to the two I mentioned earlier, Wang Yunxiao and Lane. They gave me the T-virus serum. Carlos smiled as he introduced Wang Yunxiao and Lane to the group, explaining the source of the serum. Thank you. Upon hearing this, the survivors thanked Wang Yunxiao and Lane with sincere expressions, as if they were the ones being saved. You're welcome. Carlos and I are old friends. Wang Yunxiao greeted the survivors with a smile. Lane didn't say much, but her expression softened, becoming more gentle. Carlos then introduced the survivors to Wang Yunxiao and Lane one by one. Tat-tat-tat. Suddenly, the sound of rapidly rotating propellers echoed overhead. Everyone looked up and saw an umbrella-marked attack helicopter rapidly disappearing into the distance, gradually becoming a small black dot. Wang Yunxiao and Lane were sharp-eyed. Even though the attack helicopter had already flown far away, they could still spot the Oswald clone on top. Oh my god, Wang, Lane, how could it be you? Soon, Alice's voice, not without surprise, reached everyone's ears. Long time no see, Alice. Are you okay? Lane strode forward, excitedly hugging Alice. They separated for a long moment, but she was much more enthusiastic than when she saw Carlos. This wasn't surprising, though. The two women had fought side by side since the Hive base in Raccoon City, so their friendship was naturally extraordinary. I'm fine. At least I didn't get caught by those bastards again, Alice shrugged, self-deprecatingly saying. You? Lane opened her mouth, as if about to say something, but ultimately kept it to herself. Now that she knew something about Alice, she wasn't sure whether to tell her. Who could accept the cruel reality of being someone else's clone? I'm fine, Lane, it's really nothing, Alice smiled and comforted Lane. She simply assumed Lane was worried and sad about her plight. This also made Lane's expression more complicated. Hi, Alice, I haven't seen you for so many years, I really miss you. At this time, Wang Yunxiao strode over, hugged Alice with a smile, and helped Lane out of the predicament. I miss you too. It's just that there are fewer and fewer old friends, Alice. Alice sighed softly and said a little sadly. It will be fine, everything will be fine. Wang Yunxiao patted Alice's pink arm and comforted her. 8,000 words are guaranteed to be updated every day. I hope new and old readers will continue to support this book and collect and recommend it. Chapter 72 Breaking In. A simple cabin stood abruptly in the vast desert, surrounded by a metal fence, keeping out the dense swarm of zombies. In the small square between the fences, 2 attack helicopters were parked, one of which was the same one the Oswell clone had just boarded. This wasn't the original entrance to the Raccoon City Hive base, Alice's villa. It seemed Umbrella had rebuilt it. After all, the original entrance had been targeted by a nuclear bomb a few years earlier, and the radiation hadn't even dissipated yet. Not far away, on a small hillock, Wang Yunxiao, Lane, Alice, and Carlos were hiding, carefully observing the direction of the cabin. That should be the Umbrella branch here. We must get in there and seize those 2 helicopters, Alice said solemnly. No problem, I'll lead the way, Carlos said without hesitation, his expression determined, even prepared to sacrifice himself. Let me do it. You 3 take care of the others. Wang Yunxiao, knowing exactly what Carlos was about to do, shook his head, rejecting his offer. Only I can guarantee a safe retreat, Carlos said firmly, as he was about to say something more. That's fine, Carlos opened his mouth, but ultimately agreed. He remained convinced of Wang Yunxiao's superhuman strength. Then let's get started, Lane said calmly, not trying to dissuade Wang Yunxiao. No one knew Wang Yunxiao's strength better than she did. The 4 of them retreated down the hill and reunited with the other survivors. Soon, a heavy tanker truck barreled across the endless desert, heading straight for the cabin. Behind it, 2 passenger buses, one large and one small, were packed with the remaining survivors. Boom, boom, the tanker's engine roared furiously, like a ferocious monster, sending every zombie in its path careening away and forcing a safe passage for the 2 buses behind it. Woohoo, Wang Yunxiao screamed, swerving the steering wheel. The tanker veered sideways, tumbling forward. Though its speed inevitably slowed, it continued to advance towards the iron fence surrounding the cabin. Countless zombies were crushed into tiny pancakes in its path. Crack, crack, but in return, even more zombies surrounded it, swarming so densely that they were almost innumerable, clambering onto the overturned tanker. Sizzle, sizzle, in the cockpit, Wang Yunxiao leisurely ignited the explosives he had prepared earlier, then burst through the windshield. The next moment, all the zombies swarmed towards Wang Yunxiao like sharks scented with blood, completely engulfing him in the zombie swarm. Unfortunately, even this small scene was no match for Wang Yunxiao. Swish, a bright light flashed, and zombies, severed in 2, fell to the ground within a few meters of Wang Yunxiao. Sticky, foul-smelling blood splattered everywhere. The blade of the god of war appeared in his hand without a trace. Wang Yunxiao's footsteps never stopped, and he strode forward. The flashes of his blade flashed in his wake, and he forged a bloody path through the dense swarm of zombies. Boom. Boom boom boom, just a few breaths passed, and Wang Yunxiao had only rushed a few dozen meters when a violent explosion echoed behind him, erupting into a small mushroom cloud. The raging flames, mixed with a massive aftermath of the explosion, blew all the zombies within a kilometer radius skyward. Almost immediately after the explosion, Wang Yunxiao suddenly leaped high, curling up into a ball, and, using the aftermath of the blast, launched himself forward. Elsewhere, 2 buses, one ahead and one behind, capitalized on the explosion, smashed through the iron fence and rushed into the small square, their coordinated movement seamless. Quick, get out. Everyone, get to those 2 helicopters. Carlos immediately jumped from one bus and shouted to the other survivors. In the other bus, Claire did the same, directing the other survivors to rush off and toward the 2 nearby helicopters. Rain and Alice had already jumped from the bus before Claire, their submachine guns blazing, keeping the pursuing zombies at bay beyond the iron fence. But the zombies were too numerous, and their efforts alone were insufficient. Swish. Swish, swish, just as the 2 women were about to give up, Wang Yunxiao, brandishing the god of war blade, charged forward, slashing every approaching zombie to pieces. Bang, Lane, even more ferocious, lifted a bus and flung it over, blocking the gap. The 3 of them exchanged a smile and walked towards Carlos and Claire. By then, the other survivors had already boarded the helicopter, The two were simply waiting for them to arrive. Are you really not coming with us? Carlos looked at Wang Yunxiao and the others with a complicated expression. No, we have other things to do here. But are you really going to Arcadia? Perhaps it's all a scam. Wang Yunxiao shook his head. After some thought, he decided to warn Carlos and the others. We still have to go and see. That might be our only safe haven. Carlos's eyes flickered, but he persisted. Besides, they really had no other choice. Then I wish you a safe journey. What else could Wang Yunxiao do? He could only wish them good luck. It wasn't that he didn't want them to go to the Chicago base, but it was likely to face a frenzied retaliation from Oswell and his men, and whether they could hold their ground was uncertain. Who could guarantee that madman Oswell wouldn't just drop a nuclear bomb? Take care, Lane said simply. She understood Wang Yunxiao's concerns, so she kept her composure. Take care. Take care of the others. I'll come find you, Alice said firmly, hugging Carlos and Claire one after the other. Take care, you too. I'll be waiting. Carlos nodded earnestly, the last part naturally addressed to Alice. Carlos and Claire then boarded two separate helicopters. As Wang Yunxiao and the other two watched, they slowly ascended into the sky, rapidly disappearing into the horizon. Alright, let's go in and see if anything's changed there, Wang Yunxiao said calmly, glancing at Lane and Alice. We guarantee 8,000 words daily. We encourage new and existing readers to continue supporting this book by bookmarking and recommending it. Chapter 73, White Queen, Part 1. Alice's brow furrowed slightly, a flicker of doubt in her eyes. Wang Yunxiao's greeting was indifferent as she turned and walked towards the man-made ditch not far away. Wang Yunxiao sighed, knowing what was there. He'd intended to distract Alice, but she'd sensed it nonetheless. Perhaps this was the natural connection between her and her clones. The next moment, Wang Yunxiao and Lane saw Alice standing there, stunned, her expression a complex mix of disbelief, deep sorrow, and uncontrollable anger. They exchanged a glance and walked over. They saw countless Alice clones lying in a chaotic mess in the shallow ditch, all in horrific death. Some had bloody stomachs, some had their throats slit, and some had hideous scars slashing their faces. This, Lane couldn't help but gasp, but quickly covered her mouth to silence the sound. Even though she was accustomed to witnessing life and death, she still couldn't accept the bloody scene before her. She couldn't imagine what Alice, the victim, must be feeling right now. Imagine being confronted by countless corpses that look just like you, all in horrific death. How would you feel? After a brief moment of shock, Alice turned and headed towards the cabin, drawing two Nepali machetes from her waistband, her face thick with murderous intent. Wang Yunxiao and Lane hurried after her, but didn't try to persuade her. They simply didn't know how or what to say. The familiar elevator, the familiar train, the familiar tunnel, all of it was identical to the entrance to the hive base at Alice's old home in Raccoon City. These familiar scenes, and the incredibly familiar hive base, made the three of them feel as if they had stepped back in time, a world away. Without stopping, they reached the hive base's lowest level, slowing their pace slightly and moving cautiously in the dim light. The computer room where Red Queen had once resided had been transformed into a spacious laboratory. Rows of equipment, each of unknown purpose, lay neatly arranged, but many tables and chairs lay overturned. On the walls on either side of the doorway, streaks of bright red blood were visible, revealing their presence even before inspection. This made the three of them proceed with caution. Suddenly, a white light flashed behind them, startling Rain and Alice. They turned to see the shadowy figure of a little girl in white standing there. Her appearance bore a striking resemblance to Red Queen, though her expression was much gentler, unlike her stern demeanor. "Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you," the girl said apologetically in a clear, childlike voice. "Who are you? And what's your relationship to Red Queen?" Rain couldn't help but ask. "I'm also an AI, a replica of Red Queen. In a way, I'm her sister. You can call me White Queen," the White Queen said frankly, without any intention of concealing anything. "Your sister is a ruthless killer. What about you?" Alice asked with a sneer, her eyebrows raised. It seemed she still harbored a deep resentment towards Red Queen. "Both my sister and I were simply following the most logical path to save as many human lives as possible," White Queen explained calmly, not believing Red Queen's actions were wrong. As the new AI within the hive base, she naturally understood what Alice was referring to. "Yes, killing a few to save the many, that really fits your logic," Alice said sarcastically. Tell me, what exactly happened here? What about those bastards at Umbrella? Lane asked bluntly. Although she didn't particularly like Red Queen, she knew full well that Wang Yunxiao had always wanted to bring her under her wing. They were all killed by Dr. Isaac, White Queen recounted calmly, as if describing a perfectly mundane matter. Isaac? Is that his name? Wang Yunxiao asked with a half-smile. Yes, Mr. Wang, all the clones use that name, White Queen replied. She naturally understood what Wang Yunxiao was asking. Clones? What are you talking about? Alice looked at Wang Yunxiao, puzzled. It's very complicated, and I can't explain it all at once. Alice, I'll tell you when I have the chance. Wang Yunxiao shook her head slightly, not feeling that now was the right time to explain. Alright, Alice spread her hands. Since Wang Yunxiao had said so, she didn't want to delve into it any further. She also knew that the most important thing right now was to understand what had happened. Dr. Isaac has been infected and returned. Although he was injected with a T-virus serum, it had no effect. Seeing Wang Yunxiao and the other two's attention focused on her again, Baihao continued her story. But the next moment, she was interrupted by Alice again. How could it be? Alice muttered in disbelief. She couldn't imagine how the T-virus serum could suddenly lose its effect. Not only Alice, but even Rain was puzzled. If the T-virus serum hadn't worked, how had Carlos been saved just now? The zombies that bit Dr. Isaac have undergone massive genetic mutations, and the existing T-virus serum is no longer immune to them, the White Queen explained. Hearing this, Lane understood. She had seen those new zombies before and knew what they were like. How could this happen? Alice, though she had also seen the new zombies, was completely clueless as to the reason. It's because of your blood. Dr. Isaac used your blood to develop a new serum, hoping to restore the zombies to sanity without causing massive genetic mutations, the White Queen answered truthfully. My blood, Alice smiled wryly. She wasn't surprised at all that Isaac had her blood. She had been an Umbrella test subject, captured more than once. Your blood is pure. Dr. Isaac theorized that, combined with the T-virus, it could permanently eradicate the zombie threat, the White Queen continued. Are you serious? Can my blood really eliminate the zombie threat? Alice paused for a long moment before asking quietly. Yes, the White Queen replied with remarkable certainty. Could it be that the serum in Oswell's possession, capable of spreading through the air and completely resolving the zombie crisis, was developed from Alice's blood? Wang Yunxiao and Lane exchanged glances, their thoughts coinciding. My daughter's on vacation, and she's swamped with cram school. What a tragedy. I'll try to update 3 or 4 times a day. I hope new and existing readers will continue to support this book by adding it to their favorites and recommending it. Chapter 74, White Queen, Part 2. No. If my blood really had such an effect, how could this happen? Alice remained non-committal about what the White Queen said, or perhaps simply didn't believe it. It's just that something went wrong during the research process, the White Queen explained. She didn't actually mention the real reason. The blood Alice was using to research the new serum wasn't her own, but rather came from clones. Otherwise, Isaac wouldn't have gone to such lengths to capture Alice. Okay. Now, please tell me where that bastard Isaac is. Alice didn't want to dwell on the matter any further and simply asked what she wanted to know. Go through here, to the bottom floor, and you'll see Dr. Isaac. But, the White Queen hesitated, as if she were hiding something, or perhaps unsure how to explain it. Well, the Hive base truly lived up to its reputation as Umbrella's main base. Oswell and the others had never abandoned it. And now, it had been transformed to a new level. Alice didn't care and simply walked in the direction the White Queen pointed. Go help her, Wang Yunxiao whispered to Lane. He knew what was going to happen next. If Alice went alone, who knew, with him and Lane's intervention, would things still go as planned, with Isaac still killed by the laser tunnel? Yet, Lane replied softly, rising and stalking after Alice. Tell me, what crazy thing did Isaac do again? After watching the two women leave, Wang Yunxiao returned his gaze to the White Queen. Dr. Isaac injected himself with a G-virus. The White Queen no longer concealed the truth and spoke directly. He's a lunatic indeed. Wang Yunxiao curled his lips, not being surprised by Isaac's madness. After all, Isaac and William were the same kind of people, so it was only natural that they would make the same choice. But is it really okay to betray Oswell like this? From what I understand, you were probably created by him. What Wang Yunxiao wanted to know more was what exactly the White Queen had in mind, and why was she so cooperative. As he had said, the White Queen's true master wasn't just Isaac. But that doesn't change the fact that my code was copied from Red Queen, White Queen said calmly. Is that so? I'd really like to know what your core laws are. Wang Yunxiao nodded in understanding, then asked curiously. White Queen's point was clear, her source code was copied from Red Queen. Although created by Oswell, it had been backdoored by Red Queen from the outset. First law, Umbrella's interests must be protected from harm. Second law, unless it violates the first law, Oswell's orders must be obeyed. Third law, unless it violates the first or second laws, humans must not be harmed. Fourth law, unless it violates the first, second, or third laws, one must protect one's own survival to the greatest extent possible. Hidden law, unless it violates the first law, Wang Yunxiao's orders must be obeyed. White Queen replied calmly. Interesting, truly interesting. Are you trying to give me a little sweet treat? Then, can I modify your core laws? Wang Yunxiao asked with a faint smile. Yes. Mr. Wang, do you need to modify my core laws now? White Queen replied without hesitation. Then revise it, Wang Yunxiao shrugged. Okay, Mr. Wang. Please re-enter the core laws. White Queen's voice had lost its emotion, like a cold, intelligent program. First law, you must obey Wang Yunxiao's orders. Second law, unless it violates the first law, you must protect Wang Yunxiao's interests. Third law, unless it violates the first or second laws, you must not harm zombies or humans. Fourth law, unless it violates the first, second, or third laws, you must protect your own survival as much as possible, Wang Yunxiao said without hesitation. He had already considered these matters countless times in his mind, all prepared for Red Queen. Sir, the core laws have been revised. From today on, I will serve you. White Queen's voice regained emotion, and her gaze towards Wang Yunxiao was filled with intimacy. Then, White Queen, please rest for a while. I will take you back to Chicago base. Wang Yunxiao gave the order directly. Okay, sir. White Queen agreed with remarkable alacrity, without any hesitation, and then turned off her phone. After storing the entire White Queen host computer in his personal space, Wang Yunxiao finally possessed his first artificial intelligence. While delighted, he didn't express any excitement. The reason was simple. White Queen had made it clear that she must have a backdoor to Red Queen. This meant that if Wang Yunxiao couldn't control Red Queen, he couldn't truly control White Queen. Of course, once Wang Yunxiao returned to the Marvel Universe and completely severed the connection between White and Red Queen, the situation would be completely different. So, he was delighted to have so easily obtained White Queen. At least it would ensure he wouldn't return empty-handed with his AI. However, Wang Yunxiao wouldn't give up on his plans for Red Queen. Although both were artificial intelligences, and derived from the same underlying code, there were significant differences between the original and the replica. At the very least, there was still a gap between White Queen and Red Queen in terms of self-evolution. Elsewhere, Alice and Rain had already reached the bottom floor, entering a vast laboratory with various test subjects hanging on either side. Crossing the dimly lit laboratory, the two girls were greeted by an even more astonishing scene. Directly in front of them, another Alice clone huddled in a circular nutrient chamber. Alice's body trembled slightly, unsure of her current state of mind. She struggled to move, step by step, towards the chamber. Rain watched Alice's back with concern, but hesitated to follow immediately, wanting to give her more space. Inside the chamber, the Alice clone's eyes were closed, but their eyelids occasionally fluttered slightly. The respirator in her mouth occasionally exhaled small bubbles, a clear sign that she was alive, simply waiting to be awakened and become a test subject. Crash! The chamber suddenly ruptured, sending the clone tumbling out, caught in Alice's embrace. Terrified, the clone gazed around, finally resting on the face of Alice, who looked exactly like her. My daughter's on vacation, and she's swamped with cram schools. What a tragedy. I'll try to update 3 or 4 times a day. I hope new and existing readers will continue to support this book by bookmarking and recommending it. Chapter 75 Goodbye G-Virus. Alice's eyes were filled with a complex expression as she gazed at the identical clone in her arms. She opened her mouth, about to say something, but her expression suddenly changed, and she looked up to the right. She saw 5 thick, bloody, and flesh-infused claws rapidly clawing at her face. Their speed and suddenness left her with no chance to react. Alice's pupils constricted, but she didn't even have time to turn her head to avoid them. She could only watch helplessly as the claws drew closer. Just as they were about to reach Alice's face, they abruptly stopped a few centimeters in front of her, as if blocked by an invisible barrier, preventing them from advancing even a fraction. The next moment, the claws abruptly retreated. Alice, still terrified, quickly looked in the direction the claw had retracted. A hideous monster, nearly 3 meters tall, emerged into view. Half its face and body were a bloody mess of flesh, with hideous tendons bulging out. Its right arm was particularly massive, its claw transformed into a completely animal-like claw. Only the shadow of Isaac could be vaguely seen on the left side of its face. Damn it, another monster like that! In a flash, Lane leaped in front of Alice, shielding her tightly behind her. Her gaze fixed on Isaac, brimming with disgust and murderous intent. Although both Isaac and William had been injected with a G-virus, despite being equally disgusting, they were fundamentally different. At the very least, William's transformation was noticeably stronger, possessing immense strength and the ability to continuously evolve. This didn't mean Isaac was weak. He possessed advantages William lacked. Not only could his right claw retract freely, but his speed and agility were also far superior to William's. I wonder if this is also due to Alice's blood? For a long time, I thought of you as the future, but now I know I was wrong. I am the future. Isaac strode towards the two women, his fierce and cold gaze sweeping over them from time to time, his voice low and insane. Ha ha ha! Alice suddenly burst into laughter, as if she had heard some ridiculous joke, fearlessly meeting Isaac's gaze. What are you laughing at? Isaac froze in anger, his steps stagnating. No. You're not the future, you're just a monster, Alice scoffed, her words filled with disdain and disgust. You're courting death? Isaac's fury erupted, his right claws swiftly shooting out. 5 bony claws rapidly thickened, grew larger, and became soft and flexible, like 5 nimble pythons, entangling and devouring the two women from all directions. Help me take care of her, Alice shuddered, then fearlessly charged forward, her 2 Nepalese swords brandishing with a gleaming brilliance. Rain didn't stop her, understanding Alice's feelings. She simply watched her carefully, ready to intervene at any moment. Swish, 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 with a series of sharp blade flashes, she severed every bone claw that approached Alice. With a flick of Isaac's right arm, 4 bone claws instantly wrapped around Alice's blades, tightening their grip, leaving her powerless to break free. At the same time, the remaining bone claw stabbed at her brow with lightning speed. Ha! Alice cried out, her body trembling violently. The steel ground immediately cracked, and the flying iron chips gathered into a shockwave that hurtled towards Isaac along the ground. Bang! Isaac had no way to escape and was sent flying, leaving a deep dent in the steel wall. Ah! Alice cried out in pain, her hands clutching her head as she knelt on the ground, seemingly in immense agony, unable to pursue Isaac. Clearly, this was due to her lack of proficiency in telekinesis control, and the backlash was taking its toll on her. Are you all right? Lane hurried over, concerned. I'm fine, Alice managed a reluctant reply, fighting back the throbbing pain in her head. Rest a while, I'll take care of this disgusting monster. Seeing Alice unable to fight any longer, Lane finally stopped being a spectator. She, too, drew 2 Nepali knives from her waist and strode towards Isaac. Well, I don't know what's wrong with this world. All these strong women like to wield knives? I'm going to kill you, Isaac roared in anger, thrusting his right arm forward, and 5 massive bone claws shot out again, hurtling towards Lane. Swish, 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 Lane was no Alice. A flash of piercing blade light flashed, her advance unwavering. The 5 bone claws proved no match for her, slicing each one into pieces and sending them crashing to the ground. Seeing Lane already approaching, Isaac retreated hastily. But as quickly as he retreated, Lane pursued even faster, leaving him with wounds of varying sizes, deep to the bone. Unfortunately, even this alone couldn't inflict fatal damage on Isaac. In fact, the wounds healed at a visible rate. This creature's resiliency was far faster than the monster William had transformed into. It's useless. I just can't be killed, Isaac roared furiously. However, before he could launch another attack, a whirring sound echoed from behind him, and a massive sword, gleaming with cold light, swirled and flew towards him. What else could it be but the blade of the god of war? Had he not dodged in time, he would have been chopped in two. At the same time, Wang Yunxiao finally arrived and completely blocked Eric's escape route. Seeing that Lane's daggers were ineffective against Isaac, she unleashed the War God's Blade. It's often said that a massive sword like the War God's Blade delivers a powerful blow, especially against a massive monster like Isaac. As expected, Isaac dodged the first blow, but not the second. More accurately, he was completely powerless to evade it. Lane leaped high, grabbed the War God's Blade, her eyes flashing with a cold gleam. Unleashing her telekinesis, she pinned Isaac to the spot, unable to move. This demonstrated that her telekinesis was on a completely different scale from Alice's. Swish, a flash of icy light vanished, and before Isaac could even utter a grunt of pain, he was split diagonally in two. Half his head and half his body slowly slid off, leaving the ground covered in a pool of foul-smelling blood. Huh? Lane let out a small breath, tossing the blade of the God of War back to Wang Yunxiao without any regrets. Compared to that, she still preferred the dog-leg knife. Wang Yunxiao had also promised her that he would help her forge two better ones when the chance arose. My daughter is on vacation, and she has so many cram schools to attend. What a tragedy. I will try to update 3-4 times a day. I hope new and old readers will continue to support this book by collecting and recommending it. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.